People are calling it the mile of the century #2 because back in 1954, Roger Bannister and John Landy raced each other at the Empire Games in Vancouver, and it was the first time that two men broke the 4 minutes for the mile in the same race. Well, tonight we have a fabulous mile, which really is potentially a race for the ages. The spectators have poured in their thousands, of course, plenty of them in their seats now, and thankfully it's a fairly mild, breezy, but very sunny afternoon here, as myself, Tim Hutchings, Hannah England beside me, and Danny Crates look forward to 3 hours or so of top-notch track and field athletics here now. Finals on the field and on the track, and Hannah, this promises to be fittingly a climactic final evening session.
You couldn't write it, could you? Josh Kerr breaking the world mile record a couple of weeks ago, that fantastic 3:42 in the London Stadium. And now he's here in Glasgow to try and win a Commonwealth gold medal in front of this crowd. It's really going to be something here this evening. The atmosphere in Scotstoun is going to be fantastic for it. There's the other action we've got spread across this final evening. Men's pole vault are going to get going nice and early, as are the women's long jumpers. And as we have throughout the week, we'll have some para events integrated in. The women's 400 metres T54 will feature Melanie Woods going for a second gold medal for Scotland. And that men's 800 just coming up after the two 4x1s. I think all 8 of them are going to think they can win it, and that could be a fascinating race. We'll have the mixed 4x4 for the first ever time at the Commonwealth Games, and then the women's mile will actually be the final event of the whole athletics and para-athletics programme.
And Danny Crates, I think the prominence given to the para events here in Scotstoun in Glasgow has been a bit of a mood changer, don't you think? I mean, people expect now to see these para events mixed in, and they expect to see great competition. And that has been the case in the majority of disciplines here. Really, really tight racing on the track, close finishes in the fields as well. And I suspect it's changed an awful lot of people's perspective for the better.
Yeah, and I think that's what the organisers hope. They hope that by introducing para-athletics, but also making it part of the programme, part of making it the medal tally, gives it that prominence within the programme. It's not an add-on, it's not a demonstration event anymore, which we used to see in years gone by, not just at the Commonwealths, but the Olympics, at World Championships sometimes. This is part of the programme. Teams are picking the athletes based on the ones they think can be successful out on this track. So it's giving athletes a chance to race on the big stage, because some Paralympic athletes get to race on the big stage, some athletes don't. Because here, and then you obviously the crowd gets introduced to the athletes as well.
Well, here come the fireworks as usual. I know, bright sunshine and fireworks. You might think it's a little strange, but those colours are quite glorious, reminiscent of the Scottish Saltire and the colours of these games. The blue track has been upgraded here, and they're looking quite resplendent. Well, one of the first event is at 5 past the hour. That is the men's pole vault final. The women's long jump final gets underway at 10 past the hour. So in just a very few minutes' time, we'll be deep into the action of this final evening session. Athletes warming up under cover. We've had a fair old bit of rain this week. I think, was it Tuesday when it came down in biblical sheets of heavy water. The athletes, the officials, spectators all took it stoically, and the action continued unabated. But tonight it's nice conditions, and actually you don't get the feeling there's any, touch wood, and I don't want to put commentators' jinx on this, but you don't get the feeling there's any rain in the air. It's a nice evening.
I agree, Tim. It has been pretty nice today. We were just having a look at the two Australian teammates, Tori Lewis and Lachlan Kennedy, getting warmed up for the 4x1. The men's 4x1 is going to feature Lachlan Kennedy. He didn't run in the heats earlier on, but he's coming in for the final. But these are the male pole vaulters getting ready. They should be out any second to go through their introductions and their warm-ups. Just getting their equipment checked in the call room.
15 degrees centigrade in the arena, but I think we're beginning to harden to it now. It's been much lower some of the mornings. It's been about 9 or 10 degrees when we've left the hotel. The wind has been a constant. It says 17 degrees there. I'm reading 15 on my phone. Humidity 64%, so that's not too bad. The wind pretty strong, coming from the west, and as ever, flying into the faces of athletes up the back straight and behind them as they come down the home straight towards the finish line. That will certainly affect tactics. It'll be a significant factor, I think, in the thinking of the big names in those mile races, for example.
Let's have a look at these male pole vaulters out there ready to take on the heights, the dizzy heights. Curtis Marshall, the best of the pack, really, consistently over 6 meters this season. And his teammate Nina Kennedy was favourite for the women's title and didn't get it, so I don't want to start counting my chickens before they've hatched. See Curtis Marshall there, 6 meters. Athletics around him. Owen Hurd of England is actually ranked number 2 out of the entrance. Jack Thors will enjoy the home environment here, the Scottish athlete. His lifetime best, 465, could trouble for a medal here. And Kyle Rademeyer of South Africa down the bottom of the list there as well. Another one that could be in contention for a medal.
Yes, I mean, to be really frank, and with all due respect to the others, the defending champion Curtis Marshall, on paper at least, and going by recent performances when he's been in very, very good form, well, the Australian is head and shoulders above the rest. He's such a strong favourite, perhaps one of the strongest favourites of the week, and going for a hat-trick in that pole vault over there on the second bend. They're reasonably well sheltered by the stand on the second bend, the huge temporary stand constructed there. All smiles, Curtis Marshall. Nice when you're coming to the vertical disciplines, which are so psychologically demanding, to have that confidence of consistency in recent performances. Adelaide-born Curtis Marshall, they're all smiles. Can he add to Australia's gold medal haul?
Nick Southgate for New Zealand, no heighted in 2018, but he's back for more Commonwealth Games experience. And he's jumped 540 this year. This is Yun Yulo of Singapore, their national record holder, with 5 meters 34.
Bhuvitharan there of Sri Lanka. He's only at 5.18 vaulter. No form from him at all this year. That's a 5.18, came in August last year. Christos Tamanis, 6th in the last edition of the Commonwealth Games, only had to vault 5.15 there, but he's a 5.35 vaulter now, and that lifetime best has come this summer.
Owen Hurd, ranked number 2 on the entry list, is a coach. Kate Rooney, or Kate Dennison, when she was competing, was 3rd in Delhi at the Commonwealth Games. Wouldn't it be lovely if she could coach someone to a Commonwealth medal today? Dimitris Christofi of Cyprus, 20-year-old, has jumped 5.35 this season.
Jax Throise of Scotland goes 8th in the jumping order, NCAA indoor champion a few years back, actually 10 years ago now. He's 33, best of 5.45 indoors this year. 5.65 was 11 years ago his outdoor best. And James Steen of New Zealand, 6 times the Kiwi champion, 9th in the jumping order. Steen, 5.35 this year. He's a 5.50 jumper at his best, and that might be the sort of height that will earn a medal here today.
Dev Meena is jumping for India. Thomas Wally for Wales. He was 2nd at the National Championships, behind Owen Hurd, the British Championships.
Kuldeep Kumar of India. They've got a big squad here, the Indians, and they've delivered too, doing well on the medal table. 21-year-old has vaulted 5.45, a lifetime best this year. And Kyle Rademeyer, as Hannah mentioned earlier, the 24-year-old South African. Well, he's a 5.82 vaulter. It was 3 years ago, but 5.65 this year puts him right up there amongst the favourites for a medal of some colour. He took a World Under-20 bronze medal back in 2021, and that is always a really good indicator of talent potential. Quite often athletes don't come through as seniors and really build on that young talent and the indications. But Rademeyer, well, with 5.82, he knows he's cleared those sorts of heights, and 5.65 this year. And that, again, might be enough to get onto the rostrum.
Bars starting at 4 meters 90. Quite a few athletes coming in at this height. already see on our computers that Curtis Marshall has passed up to 540, and Owen Hurd, Jack Thors and Dev Kumar Meena have also passed at this opening height, and Kyle Rademeyer is going to have a couple of passes for South Africa, but Nicholas Southgate does want to have a go at this opening height. Well clear. that'll be a nerve settler. I mentioned in the introductions that Nick Southgate, in his only previous Commonwealth Games experience on the Gold Coast in 2018, no heighted, so he's totally erased that here with a clearance at the first height.
We just see the women's T54 athletes getting ready to come out onto the track for their 400-metre final. There she is, Melanie Woods. We just got a glimpse of. She'll be looking to go for a second gold medal. We have 2 Scottish athletes in here, so and with this packed stadium, we know it's going to roar. Joanna Robertson is the other Scottish athlete who featured in the 1500 metres. She was 5th.
Alongside the men's pole vault out here in the field, we're going to have a women's long jump final as well. They went through qualification yesterday morning, the morning before, something like that. And these are the 12 women that have made it through to the final. Highlighted by Ruth Osoro, world and Olympic finalist in the last few years. 3 English athletes into this, and Akelia Smith, another high-quality athlete. The Jamaican picked up a silver in the triple jump. And she's definitely capable of picking up another medal in this long jump.
Well, we'll get a good look at these athletes now in this long jump final. As Hannah said, 12 of them out there. And it is hard to pick out a favourite, it really is. This is Ruth Osoro, who was 6th in the last Commonwealth Games. 677 this year, makes her very highly ranked, the Nigerian. She will get proceedings underway. Jazz Sawyers, well, 8th in the Olympics in 2016 and 2021, but back in very good form this summer.
Delta Amedzovski, the 19-year-old from Australia, one to watch here, 6 metres 84 this season. Philippa Fotopoulou of Cyprus, well, to make this final jump very well to qualify in 7th.
Molly Palmer of England. All of Thames Valley Harriers, the West London club, will be behind the English athlete. And Brooke Bushkuhl, she starts certainly as one of the favourites. She took the silver medal 4 years ago, the Australian, 33 years old now, very, very talented, yes.
Tara Gitton-Spockville in the best form she's been in a good few years for Trinidad and Tobago. Faith Kipsang, multiple Kenyan champion, will jump 8th.
Akelia Smith there, we saw the Jamaican, she's a 681 jumper, one of the favourites here, and Lucy Hadaway of England too, a 675 jumper this year, her lifetime best, will be in the mix.
That's Jana de Gaines of Trinidad and Tobago. She was 2nd at their national championships behind Gitton-Spockville. And the final athlete is Izzy Gudros of Canada. She won their national champs in the long jump.
Well, that world record for Chishak for 7:52 back in the dark days of the 80s. The records in several events still rather mythical and hard to believe. But this is about competition on the day. And it's really hard to call this one, Hannah. You know, is there a favourite? I'm not sure there's a strong favourite. There's athletes who have shown good form, and consistency in recent weeks, I suppose, is probably the most strong indicator.
Ruth Osoro has shown good form the last few weeks. I'm quite excited, if I'm honest, about Brooke Bushkuhl, an Australian returning from giving birth last year, and she's just jumping every time she competes. She's getting a season's best, and in qualifying she got herself up to 6 metres and 83. She's jumping in a few athletes' time. Ruth Osoro will start, and that's a very, very good start if she gets the green light. Up towards 7 metres already for Ruth Osoro. It is a valid attempt. Well, there you go, when you talk about consistency. It's pretty windy down there. Initial indications, well over 2 metres. Good on the board. Yeah, it's coming up as plus 2.7 for the wind. That doesn't matter, every mark counts in the competition. And that's a really good start. That's her PB is 6 metres 87 in non-windy conditions, and that's a real marker Osoro has laid down in the first round.
Jazz Sawyers then, 32 years old now, European indoor champion back in 2023, just outside the medals 4 years ago, and she's jumping well enough to get onto the rostrum this year. 680 this season. She has jumped 7 metres indoors. That's when she took that European indoor title. She's quite a dynamic lady is Jazz Sawyers. Studied law at Bristol University, started out as a gymnast, competed as a bobsledder and a heptathlete. Belongs to the City of Stoke Club and coached by an old teammate of mine, Aston Moore, who's very, very knowledgeable. She's also an ambassador for Right to Play, the world's leading sport for development charity. She likes writing music, singing as well, playing instruments, but has had eye problems this year, and hence those constantly worn dark glasses. Now, this important, and certainly Osoro has laid down a pretty intimidating marker with that opening effort, 6.87. Most of this field won't get out to that. Well, that's not bad from Jazz. I'm not sure she really drove off the board as she would have liked. She's stretching for the board a little bit those last 2 or 3 strides. It's solid, but I don't think it's where she'd like to be. Yes. Good height. She is a wonderfully dynamic-looking long jumper when she gets it right. Didn't get the leg shoot right there. Came down with the feet not really stretched out in front of her. It's okay for an opener, plus 2.5 to win the behind us, 6 meters 46, but she'll need a lot more than that, I rather think, to get into the first 3 eventually.
Dorota Amidzovsky will be up next. She's a world junior champion at this event back in 2024. Also picked up a bronze in the hurdles at the World Juniors. She's got a young fan down there already. Amidzovsky to ask for kind of short notice time off university when she was selected for this team. She wasn't expecting to make the team. She jumped 6 meters 84 just a few weeks ago.
Here goes Amidzovsky in round 1. Best is 6.84
Okay, that was good on the board here from Amidzovsky. She's put herself right up with Ruth Osoro. Don't think it's going to better the Nigerian 6 meters 87. Seen a few world junior champions doing well here at the Commonwealth Games. I wonder if that atmosphere, that pressure might be quite comparable really between the circus of the world juniors and the multi-sport event in Commonwealth Games. But Amidzovsky, 6 meters 75. It was pretty close to Osoro.
Well, we're only 3 jumps into that long jump competition already. Big marks coming out, partly in thanks to the wind. Stands at each end of the stadium, about 80% full now. I don't think there'll be too many spare seats here tonight. Presentation ceremony coming up for the T37 and 38 200 meters para race. That was a 200 meters held earlier on today, just after 1 o'clock local time.
Certainly was. It was just before lunch today, or just after lunch today. It is that the crowds are piled in today. So this is the medal ceremony for the women's 200 metres, T37 and T38. Breezy Britton from Australia is leading out the athletes. The bronze medalist representing Australia, Briseis Britton. Fantastic bronze medal for Briseis. Representing England, the silver medalist, Sophie Hahn. She was a champion over the 100 metres earlier in the week. She just couldn't hold on in the 200 metres. But it's great to see her back on the podium, on the global stage again this year. So your gold medalist and Commonwealth Games champion, representing Australia, Rhiannon Clark. Blistering last 80 metres from Rhiannon. She hunted Sophie Hahn down in the closing stages of the race to take the gold medal.
Who are able to please stand for the anthem of Australia. Once again, please show your appreciation for the Commonwealth Games medalists.
Big smile from Rhiannon Clark. You're right, Danny, it was very impressive coming through in the closing stages. We would have expected Sophie Hahn to start fast. She's so good over 100 metres, of course, the Commonwealth Games 100-metre champion. But Rhiannon Clark kept her composure so well to sneak past for yet another gold for Australia. Seems like every event they look at this week, the Australians, particularly I think in the last 24 hours, they've struck gold. Molly Palmer on the runway. She was really good in qualification, Molly. Pretty close to the automatic qualifying mark. She did all three jumps. She was getting a feel for the runway. It's her opening jump. With a PB in qualification actually for Molly Palmer, that's 6:68. 6 metres 55 puts her in third place, just we're about halfway through round one. And here is the woman I was talking about that missed all of last year, starting a family. Bushkill, she got 2 consecutive silvers at the Commonwealth Games, and she did make the final at the Olympic Games in 2024. Perhaps that was a bit of a driver to say, I need to spend some time away from the sport. And it just looks like she surprised herself. Every time she's competed, it's gone really well. And I do think this might... Oh, no, it is a valid attempt. OK. I think Bushkill was really close on the board here. There we go, just behind the board. 6:83 for a season's best in qualification. It's 6 metres 80 for Bushkull with a 2.5 following wind, and I think she looked pretty happy with that.
Well, Akeelia Smith next to go.
A couple of nights ago.
Now, what can she do here, Akeelia Smith?
And with that second time,
Her teammate, Ruth Osoro, Nigeria, open proceedings. Akeelia Smith, second in the triple jump. Oh, that's nice. That looks nice as she gets the green flag, or the green light, I should say. Yeah, second in the triple jump. She already has a medal from a couple of nights ago, 14.04 in that one for Smith. Part of the Jamaican charge towards the top of the medal table. I think Australia are just above them now, 7 golds each, but Australia more minor medal colours. And that one for Smith, 6:47. She's in 6th place. Of course, this field of 12 athletes. We'll see the top 8 go on to have 3 more jumps. At the end of 3 rounds, 4 athletes will drop away.
Lucy Hadaway taking her time here at the top of the runway. She's a British champion this year. 6 metres 75. And a windy 6.77 to qualify for this final quite comfortably in the end. She was at equal 3rd in qualification.
Of England in the long jump. Lifetime best from earlier this year, 6.75.
Far behind the board leader, Lucy Hadaway. I think that could be maybe in the 660s here for Lucy Hadaway.
Quite a slow one in that sense, but yeah, 62
I think it's all right from Hadaway and the coach.
Yeah, you're steering.
But a 6 metres 64 into 4th place is, I think, more than all right. I think in this first half, if you can get yourself comfortably in the top 8 and look towards the final 3 rounds, that should be satisfying.
Well, the mixed 4x400 metres relay is one of the great features this evening. It's the inaugural edition of that. There are no gender-specific 4x400 metre relays at these Commonwealth Games. And it is fascinating watching the mix. Man-woman is the running order in those. All smiles, everybody in their own little zone in the main with their headphones on, playing whatever gets them buzzed up.
Next up on the track is the women's T54 400 metres for athletes who have full muscle power in their arms and trunk. These are wheelchair racers. Melanie Woods going in lane 5, going for a 2nd gold medal of these championships. She won't have it all her own way though. Looking calm, looking pensive, is one of her big challengers, Naomi Alphonse, who's 2nd in the 1500 metres. Nandini Sharma, disqualified in the 1500 metres, looking to make amends. Out in lane 8, representing Australia, Eliza Alt-Connell. She was the bronze medalist in the 1500 metres. In lane 7, Marie Desiree Branperini, representing Mauritius. In lane 6, representing Bermuda, Jessica Cooper-Lewis. In lane 5, representing Scotland, the 1500 metre champion, Melanie Woods. In lane 4, she was a silver medalist in the 1500 metres. Naomi Alphonse, representing Mauritius. In lane 3, representing Canada, Nandini Sharma. In lane 2, the second Scottish athlete in the field, Joanna Robertson. And in lane 1, representing Australia, Amy Fisher. Your women's 400-metre T54 final.
As Danny's been explaining to us all week, the athletes will have set the compensators on their front wheel to match the lane that they've been drawn. They've been out there warming up, making sure that's absolutely perfect. And the 8 athletes will all stay in their lanes for the entirety of the race if everything goes to plan, and we will get another Commonwealth Games champion.
Set.
Got to drive off the line in any 400-metre race, but particularly in the wheelchair races. They want to generate that speed, that momentum as quickly as possible. And Mel Woods going okay at the moment, trying to stay on terms with Lewis Cooper, who's outside of her, and there's a fast start on the outside as well with a Perrine of the Mauritius. The Mauritius have been brilliant in all these para events. As the women go through halfway, I think for the first time we're seeing Melanie Woods of Scotland start to pull away from the other athletes around her. She had to run that 1500 metres twice. There was such a crash in the first running of that 1500 metres, but she still hit a games record and still took gold for Scotland. And she's going to take a second gold for here as well. Melanie Woods in the women's T54 400 metres, absolutely miles ahead of everybody else. Naomi Alphonse, best of the rest in second, and a strong finish from Jessica Cooper-Lewis of Bermuda for third, 56.43. It will be a games record because we've never had this event at the Commonwealth Games before. So a strong finish there from Joanna Robertson and Amy Fisher of Australia, navigating the tight inside lane 1. But it's all smiles for Melanie Woods. It's been a busy week for her, busier than she would have liked. The rerunning of that 1500 came just 90 minutes before the heats for this event. But she's an outstanding favourite for the week, Melanie Woods, and she's got the job done. Naomi Alphonse getting her second silver to follow up with her silver from the 1500 metres.
Melanie Woods is the golden girl for Scotland again. Scotland now have 3 gold medals on this track, 2 of them delivered by Melanie Woods. What a fantastic performance. As expected, and we see here Alphonse, the silver medalist. She was silver medal behind Woods in the 1500 metres, now silver medal behind her in the 400 metres. There's Jessica Lewis from Bermuda taking the bronze medal. That is Bermuda's first medal at these track championships.
And Danny, we've got dry conditions here for this 400 metres, which makes the job easier for these wheelchair athletes to generate that momentum. But you can see the shot there of Melanie Woods off the start line. It is hard work for these athletes trying to sprint as fast as they can for 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, Melanie Woods is a lot stronger over the longer distances than Naomi Alphonse. Naomi Alphonse is the world champion over 100 metres. So from the start, Alphonse was straight up on Melanie Woods. But Mel knew that. She knew what to expect. And it's just once she got up into her full pushing, once she got up to full speed down the back straight, that's when she really started to pull away. And you can see that strength and that power that she has. You can just see her driving the wheels as she powers forwards. See how much control she has over the chair as well now. Sometimes you see that the less experienced athletes, the front wheel will start to bounce around on the chair as they put the power through the push rims. But Mel just has complete control over that chair coming down the home straight. A second gold medal for Mel Woods.
Well, the Flower of Scotland was brilliant for Mel's first medal ceremony. And she'll get to hear it again, and the stadium will hear it with her in that medal ceremony is coming up in not too long, really. She'll have time for a nice lap of honour here and check in with a few friends and family.
So there is your final result. Gold medal to Melanie Woods from Scotland, second Naomi Alphonse from Mauritius, and third to Jessica Lewis from Bermuda.
Jazz Sawyers then, second round. Now her opener, she won't be happy with at all. That was 6.46. That's better. That's more like the Jazz Sawyers that English supporters have come to know and love. She doesn't look delighted with it because the marker laid down by Ruth Osoro is looking pretty hard to shift. The Nigerian in the very first jump of the competition, going out to 6.87 meters. Jazz, as she's known, Sawyers for England, jumping 6.46, her opener with a 2.5 meter per second wind. That one a legal wind, 1.2 behind it. Good on the board, she's nicely dialed in. And that's bigger for Jazz Sawyers, 6.75 meters. Elevates her to third place on countback with Amidzovsky of Australia, having done that same distance with her first round jump, but no jumping in the second round.
3 field finals ongoing in this final session at the athletics and para-athletics. So women's javelin, and they're ready to be presented to the stadium. Joanne du Plessis of South Africa, the Olympic medalist. I don't know, perhaps the slight favourite here, but as with that women's long jump, I think this field is very closely matched. And as with perhaps the men's 800 is the other one that I think is wide open tonight. All of these women are going to think they're capable of a medal.
Yes, well, let's have a look at some of these athletes. There is Dilani Lakamge. Lakamge for Sri Lanka, the Bahamian Rima Otterborg. She's a 61.57 athlete this year. She has thrown over 64 meters a couple of years back.
There is Joanne du Plessis of South Africa, the Olympic medalist. Tori Morby of New Zealand, this year's Oceania champion. Lifetime best 63.26.
Mackenzie Little, a silver medalist 4 years ago. She was a world youth champion back in 2013.
Irene Kemboi of Kenya was third at this year's NCAA championships. Kenya have never had a medal in this event. Christiana Alina of Cyprus will throw in 7th. She's their national under-23 record holder. And Liana Davidson of Australia, the final athlete. It's actually the Commonwealth Games #1 this year with 62 meters 54. The Commonwealth Games record of Catherine Mitchell's is probably safe. I think we'll see how the athletes control the conditions, but
well, Lakamge will go first. Asian Games silver medalist back in 2017. She's 39 years old now. Best 61.57 a couple of years ago. That one comes down at around 50 meters, 51 meters, that sort of region. She has thrown almost 57 this year. Throwing into quite a strong headwind, these athletes. Just 8 of them out there. They'll get through each round relatively quickly. The officials doing a fabulous job out there, thank goodness for them, as well as everybody else, that it's dry out on the infield. You might have heard us mention this over the last couple of days. The infield has about 2.5 inches, about 6 or 8 centimeters of turf on top of AstroTurf.
Rima Otterborg of Bahamas is going to throw second. She's ranked #2 in the Commonwealth this year. Gold for Bahamas with Devon Charlton already. That was in the women's 100-meter hurdles.
Incidentally, that throw from Lakamge of Sri Lanka, 51.07, her opener.
And Otterborg, I think, is going to have gone further than that. She's got out over the 55-meter line. She doesn't look overly impressed. .57 meters 35. An early lead for Otterborg. She's only the second woman to throw.
Now du Plessis, 64-meter throw at her best. World under-20 silver medalist 10 years ago now, and actually took the Olympic silver in Paris, the South African. And that eases over the 55-meter line. It's about 56 meters, maybe 56.5. She was Joanne van Dijk, now married, and du Plessis, Her last competition was a 54-metre competition. 56.19 for her, slots into second place in the early stages of this first round.
Tori Morby will go next. Kiwi won the Oceania Championships this year. That's always a competitive one. She beat Mackenzie Little and Leanna Davidson that day. Morby was 7th at the World Championships last year in Tokyo as well. Good pedigree. Up towards 60 metres. That's going to be a lead, I think, for Tori Morby. Otterber's marker, 57.35. By my reckoning there, Tori Morby a little bit further down the field.
That is the lead to Tori Morby. Mackenzie Little of Australia next to the front. Lines are a best of 66, and she's thrown 60 metres this year.
And that's it. Come up as 58 metres, 65 for Morby. Each athlete is throwing further and further. Mackenzie Little up next. Pair of bronze medals from the World Championships 2023 in Budapest and last year in Tokyo. Ooh, perhaps a little flat for Mackenzie Little, maybe not. Out over 60 metres, what do I know? Very good opening throw here from the, well, can't quite be full-time doctor because she does fly off and compete a lot, Mackenzie Little, but many athletes will base themselves over in Europe for the whole summer just to reduce their travel. Little is very passionate about her career. And says being a doctor helps her keep the balance. She performs better when she flies home and keeps up with her career off the field. But she's the leader, 61 metres, 88. Irene Chepkemboi up next. I mentioned that Kenya have never won a medal in this event. She's their national record holder at 60 metres, 31. Just dipped slightly towards the end there for Chepkemboi. We've been saying this all week in the javelin. And throwing into a headwind, and the wind's just catching the tip of the javelin. If they go too high, as it comes down, dive is just accentuated by the wind. And Julius Yago offering the coaching tips here. He unfortunately didn't make the final himself in the men's javelin, but he's a former world champion and a very good person to be guiding Chepkemboi. Christiana Alina up next for Cyprus, through their national under-23 record, which came 6th at the NCAA Championships this year. Hung well in the air, just short of 50 metres. It's whistling through round one here. We've got a big men's 5,000 metres coming up, big in lots of ways, fantastic stars and a big field, and it's going to be pretty disruptive in the next 15 minutes or so for these women to get their throws in. Alina credited with 49 metres, 38. Which gives us time to go to Leanna Davidson. Commonwealth Games #1 this season was 62 metres, 54. Did that in qualification. Now over 55 for Davidson. Just over 55 will put her in around about 5th place, I reckon. There it is. I mean, come up in my system. 55 metres, 67. So 5th for Davidson at the moment. That concludes round one of the women's javelin. Mackenzie Little leading the way, 61 metres, 88. Tori Morby, 58 metres, 65. And Rima Atoba, 57.35. Kamgate, 51 metres, 07 in the first round for Sri Lanka. They took gold in the men's last night with Ramesh Patharaje. He only had 2 valid throws last night. It was phenomenal. So efficient. could be short of 50 metres here, so no improvement for Lecomage. No, 49 metres 50, stays in 6th. All 8 women will get 6 throws here. No need to shed anyone after round 3.
Well, it is time for the men's 5,000 metres, the meeting ground of middle and long distance running. 12.5 laps on the track, just over 3 miles. Of course, 12 laps would be more or less 3 miles if you like it in pounds, shillings and pence, the old currencies. But this is a fascinating race, full of talent and a massive field. So I must say I'm surprised that 26 athletes have been put into this final. Why were there no heats earlier in the week, I asked myself. All 3 medalists from the 10,000 metres on Tuesday evening are here. 7 men in this field have broken 13 minutes. It's a high caliber race. The last 2 titles have gone to Uganda. The last 7 titles to either Kenyans, they've taken 4, or to Ugandans, they've taken 3. The last non-East African winner was Rob Denmark, winning in Victoria back in 1994. But Denmark, a fierce finisher, you'll remember. Australia, of course, well, they took both golds in the 10,000 metres earlier on this week. Kai Robinson sprinting to a 27.48 win in the men's race on Tuesday evening. Rose Davies, that incredible double of a 5,000 and 10,000, took the 10,000 on Monday night and the 5,000 2 nights ago ahead of Jess Hull. Well, you can see Andy Butchart there. He'll get home support. The Briton, who has a best of 13.06, although it was 7 years ago now in London. There. One of the favourites, of course. If you're in a Kenyan vest, you start almost by default as one of the favourites. Matthew Kipsang won the Kenyan Championships, had a big win at Budapest 3 weeks back. He was 9th in the Paris Diamond League in 12.58, very close to his lifetime best. Who else stands out? Well, Nick Griggs of Northern Ireland could be a factor here. He's a great racer. And Malarkey, who took the bronze in the 10,000 metres for the Isle of Man. Dave Malarkey won the UK title in Birmingham a month or so back, based in the USA. Has run a recent 5,000 best of 13.09, and that bronze medal in the 10,000 was quite fabulous. Let's have a look at these athletes. Seth O'Donnell, personal best in the Australian Championships, where he was 2nd back on the 11th of April in Sydney. 13.12 he ran there. Fresh from a 1,500 personal best. There's Kai Robinson, the winner of the 10,000 metres. Back on Tuesday night, took a bronze medal at the World Indoors last year as well. Kemboy, Cornelius Kemboy, 11th in the last Commonwealth Games. Andy Butchart, massive cheer for him. 13th here in the 10,000 a couple of nights ago. The Indian Gulveer Singh, the silver medalist at the 10,000 on Tuesday night. 16th in the 10,000. Has he recovered? Second in the 10,000 last year. Alamzi Andrew of Kenya is in there as well. He's a 13.03 performer. And then in that second rank, well, we can go to another Kenyan. We didn't see Karan of Fiji. There's Matthew Kipsang. 9th in the Paris Diamond League, as I said. He is the Kenyan champion, has to be given a lot of respect, although his best is only in inverted commas 12.58. Akhtar of Pakistan is there. Never broken 14 minutes. Ratsim of Tanzania, just 19. No form for him at all. Jackson Sharp, 4th in the Australian Championships, but in very good form. A lot of 3,000s recently. 13.05, his lifetime best. That was back in May. Mo Ahmed, probably the most experienced man in the field. 35 years old now, 9 times a Canadian champion. Olympic silver medalist back in 2021, and 4th as long ago as Rio. He's in good form, 13.10 this year. Northern Ireland's Callum Morgan is a 13.23 athlete at his best. Then we saw the Solomon Islands Gijay Jr. Kieran Lam, 5 times Canadian champion, don't discount him. Daniel Sindra of Tanzania. Kenneth Kiprop of Uganda. Won in Hengelo over 5,000 metres. He hasn't raced since then. That was on the 21st of June, some 6 weeks ago. Justin Knight of Canada could be a factor here. Chizale of Malawi. Joshua of Tanzania, 16th in the last Commonwealth Games. Nick Griggs, as I said, former European under-20 champion at 3,000. He's run 13.05. He's only 21. 9th of the World Indoors back in March. He wintered well, Nick Griggs. 13.16 so far this year. And Dan Kibet of Uganda on the inside. Well, there's the 10,000 metres champion, Kai Robinson for Australia. He goes in this one, all 3 medalists from the 10,000 metres 4 nights ago. Go here in this 5,000 metres. The wind, of course, will be a factor. 12 times they've got to run into the wind up the back straight before sprinting for home, down the home straight. Could be a real cat and mouse game, this one. I mean, who wants to lead out a race like this ahead of such a talented field, such a big field, a field that in my opinion is too big. That's huge. You don't get 26 men in major global championship 5,000 meters for a good reason. And that's because there's too much pushing and shoving and bunching. There are athletes in here of a relatively low standard, with all due respect, and they will be lapped, and that might cause problems. They could so easily have had 2 heats of 13 runners earlier in the week. I'm a little puzzled at that one. Answers on a postcard, please. Andy Butchart deciding he didn't come here to jog around. He's got the 10,000 in his legs, but with the shoe technology, like many of the others here who had 25 laps on Tuesday night, they can recover a little bit better these days. The spikes and their training shoes protect the legs a little bit better. Without going into too much detail, athletes recover faster with various methods used, technological methods, not all to do with the shoes by any means. Diet and other things are what help them out there. But Robinson, the 10,000 meter champion, tucked in right behind Mo Ahmed there, 2 of the really class acts here, leading at the moment. Mo Ahmed didn't finish the World Championship 10,000 last year. He hasn't raced since his season's best back on the 13th of June. Wasn't that some 7 weeks ago now?
I'm delighted to see Mo Ahmed at the front here for Canada. And you said it, Tim, one of the most experienced men in this field. Well, that Olympic medal back in 2021. He was actually 4th in Paris as well, so he's very accomplished on the international stage. And the fact that he wasn't in the 10,000, when that's an event he's very competent in, makes me think that Mo Ahmed was putting all of his eggs in the 5,000 basket. He'd need to rely on the fact that the other men might be tired from that 10,000, and if he's going to capitalise on any fatigue from those 25 laps, he's got to make this 5,000 a decent pace.
Well, Ahmed leads them through 800 metres. The first lap was a 70, the second lap not much quicker.
It's not lightning quick over with the men. Chepkemboi of Kenya throwing next in the women's javelin. 49.72 in the first round, and that is way, way better. The bronze medal mark at the moment, Rima Otabo of Bahamas. Chepkemboi has hit that really well. See it strapping around her shoulder, a brace on her elbow. That's what it takes out of the body. And Julius Jago liked it. Thumbs up from him. I think that is good praise for Chepkemboi. 57 metres, 85. Puts her half a metre ahead of Otabo, and she's our new 3rd placer.
1 kilometre reached in 2:49.4 just now. It is slow. Mo Ahmed reluctantly perhaps just striding along in front there. Everybody else tucked in, getting a little bit of protection. And Kai Robinson paying close attention to the front end. Lesotho's Kamohelo Mofolo was in 3rd place, now 2nd. Dan Kibet there, the best of the Ugandans in that yellow vest on the outside. On the inside is Gulveer Singh. He took a medal in the 10,000 metres. He had a fabulous run, did Singh there, the silver, where in a week in which India really has clicked up a couple of notches in status as a track and field nation. They've had a fabulous week's athletics here, and there's more to come in future years, believe me. This monstrous nation, a sleeping giant in road running and in so many other respects. There's 67.9 there. It's still slow.
Picking up ever so slightly with Mo Ahmed, or Mofolo, going into the lead here for Lesotho, and it looks like you're having an easy ride in that pack where you're not taking the pace, and even the athletes on the inside that are running a shorter line. But there's so many micro adjustments from the pack, whether someone's stepping out slightly or slowing down or speeding up. It's not as calm as it looks in the middle of that pack. You can expend a lot of energy jostling with the men around you, and I think Mo Ahmed putting himself outside of that, not getting involved with that jostling, and now the athlete from Lesotho, Mofolo, as well, not wanting to clash elbows.
Going through 4 laps and around 4:32, so it is slow. Now, running at a 5,000 like this, mile distance, it is quite tiring being in a pack where you're watching the figures around you. I'd hate to be in the middle of that pack. I'd prefer to be slightly on the outside, maybe in about 5th or 6th position here, keeping in touch with the front end in case anybody kicks away. Give yourself a chance to react to anything that happens at the front end, but actually just not spending half your energy avoiding other runners, because this is a big pack that's broken away here. What is it? About 20 strong. And as they come towards 2K. Remember that first kilometre, 2:49. This second kilometre will undoubtedly be a little bit quicker, as now Dan Kibet of Uganda, 11th in the 10,000 here, coached by Adi Reuter, a Dutch coach who spends his time in Africa and is a very, very knowledgeable coach. I think he looks after Cheptegei, Adi Reuter, and waiting for that 2K mark to come up, 5:35.5. At 2K, so that very slow, 5:20 would have been 64, so they were operating at around 68 seconds per lap here.
Kibet is doing a push here from the front. The fastest lap was the previous one at a 65, so it'd be interesting to see this split. And Mo Ahmed responded very positively. It was initially to the move from Mafolo and then the move from Kibet. There you go, 64 seconds for that lap. They are just nudging down and nudging down. It's doing a little bit of damage at the back. Not much yet, and the pack just starting to respond. And there's a few men, if you look at halfway in the field, just realising if I don't get myself up now, I might miss a break here. I might miss a gap opening up.
No, that's exactly right. Once you get down to 64s, then you know you're motoring. That's 13:20 pace. Still not quick by international standards these days, but it is something that you have to pay attention to. Gulveer Singh in the blue there, back in about 5th place. That pack is bunching though now because Kibet, having shoved in a fast lap, has slowed right down, and coming up towards the front now is Kemboy. Ahmed still up in 3rd place on the inside. They're running the shortest line, trying to cover everything. Malarkey now beginning to come into the picture. He's back in 5th place. The medalist in the 10,000 metres 4 nights ago. To the left of picture in the yellow vest with the long black hair is quite a character. One of the Australian squad, Seth O'Donnell. He's a drummer in a band. He's got cult status. So that big black mullet. He's fresh from a 1500 personal best on the 11th of July, 3 weeks ago, but he's sitting right towards the back of this one at the moment, O'Donnell. His best 13:12 this year.
This is a serious push here from Cornelius Kemboy. He's got the accolades as well. 12:56, new lifetime best set this year. He was at 5th in Monaco as well, at the Diamond League there. So you can see the response from the athletes behind as well. I like to watch the response from the pack. How much do they fear the move that's going on in the front? It's to do with the change in pace, but also who's doing it. And Kemboy is definitely causing an effect further down the field.
Well, when they come through the line this time, as they go around the top bend there, with the pole vault unfolding, the men's pole vault, it will be the 3,000 metre mark. Maybe that'll be the point at which some move is made. As you can see there, they're having to lap an athlete there, this huge pack. That can cause problems as the guys coming up right behind the lapped athlete have to move out, and others don't realise that. Let's hope nobody goes down. 2,000 metres to go, 5K reached there in a slow, very slow, pedestrian for many of these athletes, 8:16. Now, that pack is still 2 or 3 abreast. It's worryingly big. Nobody has really taken the bull by the horns yet, and you can't really blame them because now they're into the back straight. They have the wind behind them, in front of them. They're going into this strong wind, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7 abreast. I mean, you don't see that too often. There's athletes out in lane 3. Nobody wants to take on responsibility here. Kemboy it is who led them through 3,000 in 8:16.24. But as they come round this time and through the line, it'll be a mile to go. And I wonder soon if somebody will lose patience, Hannah Ringdon, somebody who's not really a big kicker. Kai Robinson, well, there's nothing wrong with his kick in that 10,000 on Tuesday night. But if you're not a big kicker, you have to start thinking about making the move soon and test this field. And you've got to go hard and hold it, maintain that tempo. There's no point in going hard and then slowing down.
And Ratsim making a move around the outside for Tanzania. And Kemboy again is the man, the Kenyan in the Kenyan vest, going to the front, just keeping the race moving. And Kai Robinson, I think he's gathering himself. And look at that move from Kieran Lum as well. One of the Canadians, he is running for the same team as Mo Ahmed. They've just made a different kit selection here. Ahmed in the white of Canada, Lum in the red, and the sunglasses just behind. There's people leapfrogging the pack, trying to get himself in a good position. Nick Griggs of Northern Ireland having a go on the inside. Kip Sang of Kenya barging Mafolo to the side. They all know it's going to kick off at any second. Kai Robinson's poised perfectly.
9 laps done, and they went through there, in about 56, something like that. It's very slow. The last lap at the bell was at the bell as they went through the line, was 66.7. But now Ken Boy beginning to wind it up. It's 2 by 2 now down the home straight. As they come through this time, it'll be 3 laps to go. Ken Boy from Kai Robinson, Matthew Kipsang, the second Kenyan, there in 4th place, with Gulveer Singh giving a good account of himself. They go through there in about 10.25. That was a 62.9. Now they're motoring, and this will see the gaps develop. Mo Ahmed still right up there, running wide off the curb. It's Ken Boy from Robinson from Kipsang, Singh in the blue of India there on the inside. Mo Ahmed back in 5th place. Kenneth Kiprop there, the best place to the Ugandans. Kieran Lum of Canada up there as well. Dan Kibet topping out the top 8, and moving down the outside there is the Australian Seth O'Donnell. He might fancy his chances in what is a typical championship 5,000. The absolute opposite of what you see on the Diamond League circuit. No pacemakers here, nobody prepared to take it out hard. Mind you, it is windy. You don't get conditions like this very often on the Diamond League circuit. Some of these men, a little bit like fish out of water in these circumstances. Who's going to cope best as Ken Boy continues to lead with just over 2 laps to go?
Gulveer Singh looking good for India in 4th place at the moment. The second Kenyan, Matthew Kipsang, has just held himself right there. I don't know if he's waiting to cover a move from Kai Robinson or he's ready to do his own move. That lap a tiny bit slower, 63. Maybe Ken Boy starting to feel the effects of pushing this pace.
Well, nobody has yet made a move. I mean, it's extraordinary. They're leaving it very, very late. This is becoming almost an 800-metre race for most of these fellas, because they should all be feeling pretty good at the moment. There's been nothing really here to shock anybody. Nobody's shoved in a fast lap. Nobody's done anything extraordinary. Chizale of Malawi there in the blue, causing a little bit of chaos as the field go past him. But it's now Kai Robinson who hits the front, eases in on Ken Boy there on the curb. The Kenyans in 2nd and 3rd. Robinson, the 10,000-metre champion, looks like he's ready to take this on. I doubt if he'll want to be headed from this point as they come into the straight for the penultimate time. Robinson from Ken Boy, from Kipsang. Singh is still there. He's been possession well throughout the race. Now a move coming through from Mo Ahmed down the outside. The other Canadian is there too, Kieran Lum. They're all there. Nick Griggs of Northern Ireland is going there as they go through the bell with a 60-second lap to that point.
Phenomenal moves from all of these men. Look at the pack, 8 of them for 3 medals. Robinson trying to win from the front like he did in the 10,000, but the men are much closer and there's so many of them.
Robinson has been passed now by the Kenyans, and the surge is on. He's left it late. Gulveer Singh down the outside. Still at the back of this pack is Nick Griggs. He can kick viciously too. But look at the legs here from Kipsang. He strides away down the back straight and into this final bend. And surely now he's not going to be caught. It could be a late charge here. Has he gone too early? Fascinating, this one. That pack behind him has got to make up 7 or 8 metres, but he's going further clear as the Kenyan. The title is going to stay in East Africa. The flailing arms of Kipsang stay clear. Kai Robinson of Australia is going to make it a silver, and Gulveer Singh takes another medal there for India with the bronze. Brilliant from him, a late surge there to ease past Cornelius Ken Boy. Kai Robinson so close to making it a double. Matthew Kipchumba Kipsang, absolutely brilliant there. He took them by surprise to the 30-year-old. He had a massive win at Budapest 3 or 4 weeks back. Hannah, you and I commentated on that one. That was a 3,000. He showed very, very good form there, this member of the Kenya Defence Forces. His time there was 7:31, beating a very strong field, and that sort of speed was undeniable there in the latter stages of that one. But it was anybody's race with 300 to go. He just had that acceleration with 200 to go, which is a rare quality to have, and he opened up 5 or 7 metres on this field in the space of about 50.
And for me, Matthew Kipsang, he was always poised on the shoulder of Kai Robinson and of his teammate as well, Ken Boy. He was just waiting. I was wondering, was he waiting or was he about to launch a winning move? And I think he was just waiting. And he let Kai Robinson play his hand first. The Australian that closed so phenomenally in the 10,000 metres, did his kick, and then Matthew Kipsang did his. It was a 53-second last lap for the Kenyan, a 2:25 last kilometre, and he opened up. I mean, that's why he opened up such a gap over the rest of the field.
Yeah, I got the last mile there at about 3:06, at about 4:06 rather. fabulous closing there. So much ground made up on that last lap as we see some of the tail-enders coming home. But it was Kipsang who took the gold in 13:23.6. Kai Robinson, a second medal for his collection. Gulveer Singh likewise. Singh, who was so strong in the 10,000, took a silver. The bronze for him here tonight. Cornelius Kemboy and Kenneth Kiprot rounding out the top 5. Nick Griggs didn't quite have the legs there, gave a great account for himself, the young Irishman, only 21 years old, finished in 6th place. Mo Ahmed on the legs of an athlete towards the other end of his career, 35 years old now, still great value for Canada, finished in 7th, and his teammate Kieran Lum, a fine 8th there in that Commonwealth 5,000 metre final. Big smiles from Gulveer Singh. Tell you what, Indian distance running is coming at us, and the rest of the world had better be ready for it. Once they get their act together, once they get enough training camps and utilise the altitude venues they've got, which I understand, I haven't been to any of them, I understand are absolutely fabulous, then India is a real power in waiting.
Seeing Pusher over the line here. I think he might be the last athlete out on the track. Leonie Pusher of the Solomon Islands. No, a couple of athletes from the Solomon Islands, one after another.
Well, Junior, the last athlete home here. That's Gijay Junior of the Solomon Islands. He's a 15:48 athlete at his best today in this these breezy conditions. 16:33 for him as he comes home. But more medals for Kenya. I'm not quite sure why all 3 Kenyans have to do the victory lap along with Kipsang. But each to their own. Maybe he invited them along. Kai Robinson there. Took a little while to react, didn't he? I think he likes to trust himself down the home straight. And probably realised that he couldn't match Kipsang's surge, and he knew he could be the best, or hoped he could be the best of the rest. He does have wonderful legs over that last 70 or 80. That is such a rare quality. Gulveer Singh just out dipping and Cornelius Kemboy there. Look at that leap for gold, leap for glory. Matthew Kipchumba Kipsang gets Kenya back on top in the 5,000 after Uganda had taken the last 2 titles through Joshua Cheptegei back in 2018 on the Gold Coast and Jake Kiplimo in Birmingham 4 years ago. There it is, confirmation that Kipsang takes gold for Kenya over 12.5 laps. Kai Robinson, the silver in that 5,000 to go with his 10,000 metre gold. Gulveer Singh, a bronze in this one to go with his 10,000 metre silver. Dave Malarkey, well, maybe the tired legs for him after his bronze in the 10,000 affecting his run here tonight. But a fabulous, fascinating championship 5,000 metre race here in Glasgow. Phew, and there's so much more to come.
Next up, it's the medal ceremony for the women's T53-54 400 metres. The bronze medalist representing Bermuda and winning their first medal of any colour on the track, Jessica Lewis. The silver medalist representing Mauritius, Naomi Alphonse. Silver in the 1,500 metres and now silver in the 400 metres. the gold medalist and Commonwealth Games champion, Melanie Woods, representing Scotland. Melanie Woods, she won the 1500 metres, then she had to go and win the 1500 metres again yesterday morning, and now she's the 400 metre Commonwealth champion. Melanie Woods getting a rousing rendition of the Flower of Scotland from this really, really passionate crowd. 3 gold medals to Scotland now. 2 of them belong to that athlete there, Melanie Woods.
We've heard that anthem 3 times now, twice for Woods, once for Ben Sandilands. Will we get it again later in that men's mile? 2 Scots going that. Josh Kerr and Jake Whiteman. We're around about 45 minutes away from that men's mile final. Before that, we're going to take in a bit of relay action. The men's 4x1, the women's 4x1. We have the men's 800 as well, right before that mile. And the 3 ongoing field finals, men's pole vault, women's long jump, and the women's javelin. Tori Morby going well here, up towards 60 metres. So at 61 metres, 88 for Mackenzie Little in round 1. And Morby was in second place with 68 metres, 65. She's improved here. .60 metres 04 for Tori Morby. Tyra Gittins is in the 4th round. Down in 5th place, it's very, very tight. Ruth Asoro out with 6 metres 87 in the lead. Brooke Brushkill on 6 metres 80, and then it's Sawyers on 6.75, Amidzovsky on 6.75, and Gittins Spotville on 6 metres 74. So all to play for the bronze medal. Gittins, a former heptathlete, has struggled with injuries over the last few years. Oh, that was nice. She's been good over high jump and long jump this season, perhaps deciding she needs to do more than one event, but the heptathlon's too much. She's right on top of the medal graphics, and you can't really tell whether she's gone better because all those marks are clustered so close together. No improvement, unfortunately, for Gittins Spotville. I agree. 6 metres 65. The following wind's been pretty consistent here. Oh yeah. Well over 2 metres a second.
Oh, 665.
But that's the right.
Yep, so you want to leave it there.
And that takes us to the men's 4x100 relay. This is the final. We had the heats earlier on. It went okay in the end. A few nervous moments with some of the changeovers, as there always is in the 4x1. But there were no disqualifications, which is good news. It gives us a high-quality final here. Kenya, Jamaica, England, Canada, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana and Australia. The medals last time round in Birmingham went to England, Trinidad, Tobago and Nigeria. So the defending champions, England, are here. And the Jamaicans, and you always expect to be good on paper and well drilled, they were a bit shaky in qualification. They actually only advanced on time. And if there was ever a night to have dry conditions, a night where we have 3 relay races, getting a baton between teammates is hard enough without any moisture in the air.
It certainly is. It's going to be a really, really tight race. And it always causes a little bit of drama, doesn't it, the 4x1, especially when you get to this stage, the finals. There's no room for error and there's no room to take your foot off the gas.
I think that's it. In the heats, you might see teams play it slightly easy. You know, just give themselves a maximum amount of space in the changeover zone. But there'll be none of that here today with the Commonwealth Games title and medals on the line. Australia out in lane 8. Lachlan Kennedy, silver medalist individually in 100, will hand to Joshua Azzopardi. Caleb Law will be the third leg runner. And then Rowan Browning will anchor. Ghana go in lane 7 with Benjamin Azamati, who made the 100-metre final. Joseph Paul Amoa, who made the 200-metre final. Mustafa Bokpin, and then Abdul Rashid Samanu will anchor them. South Africa are fielding Moss Cheswell Johnson, who was 8th in the 100, former long jump star Bradley Nkauna, and Akani Simbini, who's not competed individually here. He is only here to help the relay squad. Nigeria are going with Favour Ashe in lane 1. The bronze medalist from the 100 metres, Kayansola Ajayi in 2. Adekalu Fakuredi will go in the third leg. And Adodi Onwuzurike, who took the silver medal in the 200 metres, will anchor. Canada, such an experienced, well-drilled squad. Aaron Brown to Jerome Blake to Brendan Rodney to the one and only Andre de Grasse, similar to Simbini, only here as part of the relay for his nation. England are going with Elliot Jones on 1, Nicholas Waltz on 2, Nathaniel Mitchell-Blake, the only returner from that gold medal winning squad in Birmingham, and then Ramel Glaive will anchor. Akeem Blake will get Jamaica underway. He'll hand to Rowan Watson, Christopher Taylor, who was 3rd in the 200 metres, and Jerome Campbell. Kenya have gone with Mark Odahambo as the lead-off runner. So Zablon Ekwam on the back straight. Meshak Babu around the top bend. And Alkana Sambila on the anchor. No Ferdinand Omanyala for the Kenyans. Unfortunately, he didn't look right in the individual 100. So I can only imagine there's been an injury that has taken last year's Commonwealth Games 100-metre champion out of this event. The men's 4x100 final. Kenya go in 1, Jamaica in 2, England the defending champions in 3. Canada go in lane 4, Nigeria in 5, South Africa in 6, Ghana in lane 7, and Australia in lane 8. They've exploded out of the blocks here in the men's 4x1. It's going to be a measure of passion and precision in a 4x100 relay. Oh, the Australians all the way to the edge of their box there, but they're going well down the back straight. The Nigerians looking strong. Ajayi making up ground on the South Africans. I think we've got all the changeovers, perhaps the Kenyans on the inside struggling. And Nigeria looking good in the middle of the pack here. It's going to be Nigeria, Canada and Australia side by side. Guyana in there as well. Andre de Grasse on the charge. Rowan Browning for Australia. I was going to say it's Andre de Grasse, but I'm not sure. Rowan Browning found something again in the last 40. He was great off the bend when he got the barrier. Got the baton. His acceleration was brilliant. And I thought the momentum was with Andre de Grasse and Canada. But Browning in the last 20 metres. And here come his teammates to celebrate. Oh, I don't know, Danny. It was so tightly matched there. I'm not sure I saw any teams kind of particularly falter. It was steady changeovers from everyone.
Yeah, there was a couple that looked a little bit rocky, but they were all fairly safe and steady. Australia, for me, like coming down the back straight, looked like they had a slight edge on it. And then as they got into that home straight, as you said, when Browning got that battle, he accelerated away and de Grasse was clawing him back in. It was so tight on the line. I mean, these relays always deliver, don't they? They deliver drama in many, many ways.
I think Andre de Grasse wants a replay here. I think, you know, when you get a replay in tennis and or in cricket when they asked to get it challenged, I think Andre de Grasse doesn't believe that he didn't cross the line first.
I think he thought he was going to get him just on the line, didn't he, in those closing stages. It'd be great to see that the last 20, 30 metres of that race again. Just see how much he was clawing back. Coming into the home straight, Browning looked like he had a... Here we see the start. Australia get a really, really good start out in the outside lane. Australia and Nigeria changing baton almost sort of exactly the same time as they hand over. Here Australia just start to lose a little bit there with that changeover. That cost them just a fraction of a second, but not enough to lose the race. At this point, Australia have got a lead, haven't they? And de Grasse is just clawing in Nigeria first. Takes Nigeria out and just doesn't quite get the Australians.
I wonder if there is an advantage here for Australia, being on the outside lane, less noise, less visual kind of distractions as well. Just having a look at those changeovers there. All looking smooth. And I think you're right, Danny. That one there was maybe a bit safe from Australia. And sometimes these squads are well drilled on their handovers and sometimes they have to play it safe. But Rowan Browning took off with such intent on that final leg for Australia.
He would have felt de Grasse coming, wouldn't he? He would have felt Onwuzurike coming as well. He would have just felt their presence. But he just, like you say, he finds that extra gear.
Time to look as well for Browning. On the replay there, you can see that Browning, he did drift over to the left-hand side of his lane and around about the halfway mark. I think because the athletes are on the straight, there won't be any penalising of that. And he didn't impede Ghana, who was already well ahead of the Ghanaian team. But that photo finish, I think the Australian quartet will print that out, frame it. That'll be everybody's Christmas present this year.
That'll be on the back of every bathroom door of that quartet, won't it?
You're right, that's exactly where that belongs. And Lachlan Kennedy, what a week he's had. Silver in the 100, new Oceania record of 9.85, sixth in the 200, and now gold in the 4x1. And those guys did well as well. The Nigerians, Ashe Ajayi, Fakorede and Onwuzurike. You can't really fault any of the top three there. I don't think that anyone made mistakes. It was just a matter of Australia being slightly cleaner, putting it together.
I think he was right. Having that outside lane, staying away from all the noise and the chaos really helped them out there.
The 4x1 is just a fantastic race. So tight, it's so close, there's no room for error. And I like a race like that when it hasn't happened, one of the favourites haven't messed up. It's, everyone's given a good account of themselves.
And you say everyone giving a good, every team got the baton round safely.
Which is fantastic. I think, it's surprising perhaps to see the nations you might expect traditionally to dominate here. Jamaica down in 7th place, the defending champions England were in 6th. South Africa in recent years have been a force over the 4x1, but I think it's becoming more open. Every year or two we're saying, watch out for the South Africans, watch out for the Nigerians. The Canadians have been on the scene for a couple of Olympic cycles now as a real force, but you're just adding more and more nations to that choice of who you think might pick up a medal.
And their choice of runners. They just have such a fantastic choice of runners as well they can pick from.
Andre de Grasse, I don't know, just looking perhaps a little sad. He's come here just for the relay and came so close to pulling it off.
You're just thinking, if you could have just given me just an extra metre.
If you could have given me another 500ths. All right, hang on a minute here. I'm seeing up on my system, I am seeing a couple of disqualifications. There we go. We're looking here at the first changeover. And we're seeing that Canada and South Africa are being penalised here. And I don't think they know the news yet. I feel like I was trying to figure out whether that was a lane infringement or a baton mistake.
I think I saw Canada treading on the line there. I think was it their third leg runner? I couldn't quite tell from that shot, but Canada disqualified.
Yeah, that was a replay of the first to second changeover. And you're right, I think it might have been a lane infringement rather than a baton issue. All right, we'll try and keep across that, keep you updated with what's going on in the 4x1.
Sawyers goes next then. Now, just looking at Jazz Sawyers here. What can she do? Jazz Sawyers in this women's long jump final. It's Jazz Sawyers who had a very, very modest opening effort, but has she improved enough to get in there amongst the medals, Jazz Sawyers? Good speed, she's really beginning to find her range, and that looks big. Oh my word, that's out towards the game's record from Jazz Sawyers. Boy, oh boy, good following wind. It's over 2 meters on her, each of her jumps up from the 675 in round 2. That's brilliant on round two, on this effort. Behind the board, well behind the board. Usoro has been leading since the very first jump of the competition with that 687. But Jazz Sawyers there, 693. Who cares about the wind? It's plus 2.7. The same as Usoro had with her 687. There are 2 more rounds to come, but she's sitting pretty.
So quick confirmation of that disqualification for Canada and South Africa in the men's 4x1, which leaves the medalists as Australia with gold, Nigeria with silver, and Ghana with bronze.
There's the lineup for the women's 4x100 metres final. The athletes out on the track and ready to go. The Gambia and Scotland getting through as non-automatic qualifiers. Therefore, they get the tight inside lanes. The Gambia in 1, Scotland in 2. Well, the defending champions, Nigeria, they go in lane 4. Australia on the outside, the same lane from which their men took gold just now. Their men won the first time for the first time in 52 years. Can this Aussie quartet go better, or at least match that, I wonder? Jamaica go in lane 7. They were the fastest this morning. They were the bronze medalists in 2022, but by far the quickest this morning in the heats. Their quartet, Reid, Williams, another Williams in on the third leg, and Moore, Ashanti Moore on that fourth and final leg. Trinidad and Tobago, well, they were second to Canada in their heat this morning. Their quartet, Aye, Bascom, Webster and Bertrand. That's the same quartet they used this morning. Canada, they go in lane 5. McCreath, Leclerc, Chiasson and Leduc. And Canada, well, they've changed that to order slightly. That's interesting. McCreath was on the ankle leg this morning. She's the lead-off athlete there. The Nigerians, they are defending champions. They go here in lane 4, second in their heat this morning. And then England go in lane 3, third in their heat this morning, 44.11. They can go much better than that. They were the silver medalists 4 years ago, the English quartet. Scotland go in lane 2. Fourth in their heat this morning. They have lane 2, which is tough on the bend, but who knows what their quartet of Fraser, Slater, Bell and Rees can do here. That English quartet, by the way, Akande, Sibbons, Regis and Edouard. And Gambia have Jone, Sane, Say, Sane and Baspite as their quartet in lane 1. Well, the favoured lanes are really those a little bit further out, 5, 6, 7. England in lane 3 will have to cope with chasing Nigeria and the lane outside them. But this morning, the Jamaicans were immaculate in the way they completed their heat. By far the quickest in 42.7. They go in lane 7. They'll be chasing the Australians, always punch above their weight. The Aussies on the outside. Scotland in 2 will get a roar. So, anybody showing? Well, the Jamaicans probably up on the Australians a little bit, left of picture. Good change there from England in lane 3. But at the moment, very tight between these lanes to the left of picture. Very little in it indeed. Trinidad and Tobago with Bascom on that second leg for them. She was looking strong there as they come round the final bend. It's Trinidad and Tobago with the advantage at the moment. Inside them, Canada going really well. England have got a lot of work to do in lane 3. But as they change there, the Canadians, not a bad changeover. The Jamaicans were better. And the Canadians coming through now looking really strong with Leduc on this leg. Is she going to get there? No, Jamaica are going to take yet another gold by a metre and a half. Ashante Moore there coming through for them, running a fabulous leg, holding off the challenge of the Canadians on the inside. Leduc there with a good change over the Canadians, really did challenge, but wow, they live up to their form from the heats this morning. And yet again, Jamaica matching the Australians. Australia taking the gold in the men's 4x1, and Jamaica there taking the gold in the women's 4x1. That means in the overall medal table they have, well, Australia now have 9 golds and Jamaica 7, but I think that will go up to 8 for the Jamaicans after this one when it's added. But it's a tough old battle on the medal table and a tough old battle down there on the track. Danny just looking for the battle for the bronze. That was Trinidad and Tobago. England coming through for 5th, a little way back from Australia in 4th.
Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago on the back straight. Bascom ran a blistering leg again, as she did in the semis earlier, and really pulled them back into shape. Their last change-up may have just let them down just a little bit. But as you said, Jamaica going out in lane 7, just very, very dominant from the outset, just as they were in the semis this morning. Such a strong quartet, these 4 ladies.
Well, that Canadian silver, their first medal in this event for 40 years, no less. They won the silver in 78 and 82 and 86 in Edmonton and Brisbane and Edinburgh. And it's their best achievement. Still eluded, the gold eludes them.
Women's javelin into the closing stages there, getting towards the last few throws for these women. It's Yohanni du Plessis. She's already done 56.22, and this in round 5. Round 6, apologies. That's the last throw for the South African. There's her series, finishing off with 55.02. So her best throw coming in the 4th round, 56.22, and that's 6th place for du Plessis. Into the final 5 throws. Rima Otterborg, 57.35 in the first round, 53.90 in the 3rd, but the 3 fouls around that. A bit tentative perhaps there on the runway. Otterborg, that's not going to improve on her 57 metres 35. As we have done all week with these field events, suddenly you're right up towards knowing who the medalists are going to be. So Otterborg will not improve from 5th place. Liana Davidson was fantastic in qualification, 62 metres 54. She leads the Commonwealth Games at the moment, but she's in terms of distances for this season. But in terms of the actual Commonwealth Games, the actual final, the Australian is in 4th. Giving it everything here in round 6. And that's not going to improve. She's going to stay down in 4th place. It is her first appearance here at the Commonwealth Games. And that means the medalists are decided. Irene Jepkemboi of Kenya will pick up their first ever medal in the women's javelin. Tori Morby, Mackenzie Little are ahead of her at the moment in silver and gold. And one more throw for those 3 women. So at least a bronze for Irene Jepkemboy. She's been coached here in Glasgow by Julius Jago. I think this bronze medal might make up for him not making the final on the men's side. Jepkemboy, 60 metres, 31. Be enough for silver if she can find the 60-metre line. And not quite, unfortunately. Jepkemboy, a well-earned bronze. So Tori Morby, the penultimate athlete here. Only Morby and Little have gone over 60 metres here this evening. It's a good showing from Tori Morby. She's thrown 60 metres and 4 centimetres already. She's only done 60 metres 40 this whole season. Through that to win the Oceania Championships. We just see Irene Jepkemboy celebrating with Julius Jago. They're just going to be respectful of the fact there's 2 throwers left to go. So Morby, this year's Oceania champion, with that season's best of 60 metres 40, and then she came out on the circuit to Xiamen, Ostrava, Paris. Struggled somewhat, but she's found some form again here at the Commonwealth Games. No improvement for Tori Morby, but it is a silver medal for Morby. It's her second appearance at the Commonwealth Games. She was 5th back in 2022. And she would have known a medal was within her capabilities today, but to get it done is all the sweeter. And that means our Commonwealth Games champion for 2026 is Mackenzie Little. Australia have won the last 3 titles. This makes it 4 in a row for the nation. Mackenzie Little was a silver medalist back in 2022. She went on to take a bronze in Budapest the year after, and then a bronze in Tokyo. So on her day, this woman is brilliant at making podiums, but it's going to be gold for Australia and Mackenzie Little. And that's not going to improve on her 61 metres 88 from the first round. That was the season's best. But Dr. Mackenzie Little, who works very hard as a medic and equally hard as a javelin thrower, is the Commonwealth champion.
Well, you know, the Aussies cleaned up in the pool earlier in the week, and I thought maybe things would even out a little bit here in the athletics, but it is one stunning medal-winning performance. So often the gold from the Aussies here in the track and field athletics after another, isn't it? Wow. And the Australasians generally doing well again in that discipline. 2 of the 3 medals, and Jepkemboy getting Kenya's first ever medal in the event. Very nice to see. The next event on the track, the men's 800 metres. We've got a medal presentation before that. The long jump is also coming to a great climax. There's a round or 2 to go yet in that. Jazz Sawyer's leading with that massive 6.93 in round 4.
Results of the women's javelin: Mackenzie Little taking gold, 61.88. Tori Morby, the silver, and a brilliant, historic first ever medal for Kenya, bronze for Irene Jepkemboy.
Isn't this fascinating? The drone tracking the lead-off runners in that women's 4x100 metres final. Changeovers there as they go down the back straight. You can see the Nigerians there. There's the Canadians in lane 5. Trinidad and Tobago in the lead there, 3rd from right of those leading trio. The Canadians trying to get back to them as the stagger unwinds in their favour. And then the changeovers are absolutely critical. It's baton speed you have to maintain. You have to keep the baton moving as fast as possible. You don't want the baton slow down. But look at this, the Canadians challenging the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans eventually getting there with Trinidad and Tobago taking 3rd place behind the Canadian silver. Well, it is time for the medal ceremony of the men's 5,000 metres. And that was typical championship racing over 5,000. It's uncomfortable, I have to say. I know that from experience. You have to be thinking on your feet, fighting for position, covering the moves, accelerating as the race wears on. and then hitting top gear and trying to charge around that final lap and get past bodies, some of which are running wide, some which are slowing. But what it was, an East African win at last in the long distances. The bronze going to Gulveer Singh. He took an incredible silver in the 10,000 metres 4 nights ago. The Indian, his time 13:24.95. He has had a wonderful week, and one that will inspire, I'm sure, lots of youngsters back home in India in years to come. Kai Robinson, well, almost a perfect 10 tonight. He ran a perfect 10 on Tuesday night. That was a gold medal winning performance from the Australian. He took silver here tonight. He left his challenge very late, but I think he measured up Kipsang, the eventual champion, and realised he couldn't match the Kenyan's surge to gold from about 250 metres out. Kipsang was only 11th in the World Championships last year, but he is champion here in the Scotstoun Stadium, and that will be celebrated loud and proud back in Kenya and by the Kenyan Defence Forces, for whom he works. It's a form of state sponsorship in effect. Many of the top Kenyan athletes are in the police or the customs or the defence forces, the army, and Kipsang is no exception. He is the Kenyan champion from this year, only 13:45 at the Kenyan Championships at altitude in Nairobi, but of course that would have been a tactical race, and the altitude doesn't help either. And he now hears his national anthem. Well, Matthew Kipsang, Matthew with 1 T, by the way, Kenyan champion at 5,000 metres. His title shouldn't be a surprise. You know what, you have to remember the old adage that recent form is a great indicator, and he won in Budapest 3 weeks ago in a very fast 3,000 metres against a top field, and he carried that form to the 5,000 here today. When he kicked with a couple hundred metres to go, he was gone. Before most of the field knew it, he was 6-8 metres ahead. And I suppose the athlete who had the best view of it was Kai Robinson, the 10,000 metres champion. He was able to gauge his effort wonderfully over the final 200 metres. He's a clever racer, is the 24-year-old Aussie. He's got a big future in front of him as we see this women's 4x100 metres relay again. Now, were there any issues? Just going to check the results of that race. No disqualifications. It was gold for Jamaica, Canada second, Trinidad and Tobago third. The Aussies down in 4th place on this occasion. Trinidad and Tobago looked like they had the slight advantage there on that penultimate leg coming into the straight, but the changeovers make a huge difference. So you don't get those right, you can be dead in the water. And although they were far from dead in the water, Trinidad and Tobago having settled for the bronze there. Fabulous final leg there, by the way, from Leduc of Canada to challenge the Jamaicans. Never really got very close. I thought about 60 or 70 metres out they might do. But Jamaica's last leg runner there, Ashanti Moore, was so powerful, held her form really well. There's Leduc of Canada nearest the camera in red. On the far side, the Australians just missing out on the bronze from Trinidad and Tobago. It looks like they're ahead there, doesn't it? But Trinidad and Tobago's last leg runner, Berton there, dipping well at the line, beating the Aussies to the bronze by 0.02 of a second. Yep, that's right. The thickness of maybe 2 vests. Danny, I love seeing these slow-mos of celebration. It's unbridled joy, isn't it? People forget how many months and months of work go into these performances.
There is, and there's something special about the relays as well, isn't there?
Well, there is Jamaica, Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, the gold, silver and bronze medalist in that women's 4x100 metres final. The Aussies miss out on this occasion. We haven't seen too many times that's happened this week.
No, they are really, really performing, aren't they, on this championships?
Well, lots of anticipation in the stadium with the men's 800 metres next on the track. And then it'll be that men's 1 mile. You can call it the Miracle Mile if you want. There's a reference back to 1954 when Roger Bannister won the British Empire Games ahead of John Landy in Vancouver. First ever race in which 2 men broke 4 minutes. But more of that in a few minutes' time when that mile race arrives. The men's 800 metres now, Hannah. It's the perfect balance, isn't it, the 800, as we look over towards the long jump. We'll talk about that 800 shortly. It's where speed and endurance meet in many respects. So we go back to this long jump final. Now, Gittens. Jazz Sawyers still in the lead. She hit her straps in round 4. Gittens here in 5th place, 6:74 for her. Coming in the 3rd round. So, Tyra Gittens of Trinidad and Tobago. She's a 6.96 jumper at her best. Ooh, that looked close to being a no jump to me. She's really pushing the envelope here. Gives away 5 centimetres on the board. Actually, she was okay. It was a legal jump, and she seems pretty happy with her 5th place. 6.74 coming in round 3, actually, from her. Nice series, good consistent series, too. That's not bad. 6.47 her closing effort. She stays in 5th. Hadaway, Lucy Hadaway of England, a fine 6th with 6.62. That was her opening effort, ahead of her teammate Molly Palmer, who jumped 6.55 in her opening effort, with Akeelia Smith of Jamaica, silver medalist in the triple jump, rounding out the top 8. She jumped 6.48 in the 3rd round. But that's the back end of the top 8. We're moving into the front end of the top 8 now as Delta Amidzovsky of Australia. She lies in 4th place. This is her last opportunity to get amongst the medals. She opened wonderfully with a 6.75, but she hasn't been able to better it. He had a 2.8 wind behind it. The wind actually has eased off a little bit through the second half of this competition. Amidzovsky, well, 2nd in the Aussie Championships, 6.65. She's already gone further than that here. From New South Wales, competes for the Wollongong Athletics Club. Produced that personal best at the Aussie Championships, 6.84. That would go nicely here, and it would get her a medal. Ooh, that looked pretty big, but did she get the green light? Again, it's really hard to tell in real time, isn't it, as they come down the runway and plant their foot. She does get the green light, maybe not enough to penetrate the top 3. She needs to find another 5 centimetres. She jumped 6.75 with the opener. Bushkuhl, her teammate, is in 3rd with 6.80. That was her opener. No, wasn't nearly enough. 6.41 there for Amidzovsky. She does finish in 4th place. The Aussies in 3rd and 4th at the moment. It does mean the 3 above her are guaranteed a medal each of some colour. We don't know which colours yet, though. We understand there's a slight delay to the start of the 800 metres. We haven't had an explanation. It was due off that 800 metres at, well, about right now. Here's Bushkuhl. Brooke Bushkuhl, 6.80 with her opener. She was a fabulous young talent, been around a long time now, the little Aussie, and she is little, she's fast, she has what looks like rubber legs. She's a fabulous bounding athlete, coached by her dad, Russell Stratton. Ooh, that looks pretty big. That looks useful from Bushkuhl. She is chasing Usoro, the Nigerian, in 2nd, 6.87 from Usoro. Bushkuhl has jumped 6.80 with her opener. Usoro's was her opener as well. Sawyers, remember, 6.93 in round 4, has the lead. What does this get? Well, it's a fabulous closing effort, 6.79. It's only 1 centimetre down on her opener. Those big jumps bookending a great series from the Australian, who does take the bronze medal, and now was just 1 jump between Jasmine Sawyers and the gold. And that is Ruth Usoro of Nigeria. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Family in attendance. Talk about having it all. That's just wonderful. And Bushkul, well, the silver medalist 4 years ago, bronze medalist today. Great to make it onto the rostrum. Nice series from Bushkul, and the competitive spirit underlined by that fabulous sixth and final round jump, 6.79, with a legal win, by the way, plus 1.3. Be interesting to pull off a list of the legal best jumps in a competition, wouldn't it? Not that the athletes can control what the wind is doing. Here comes Usoro. She's had a great day at the jumping pitch. She was only sixth back in 2022. She's guaranteed at least the silver here, the tall Nigerian. She'd have to jump a lifetime best here to beat Sawyers. It's not impossible. The wind's still blowing reasonably healthy. Here she goes, round 6. And that looked to me like it might have been across the front end of the board, but I'm beginning to... No, I'm right this time, makes a change. It was a no jump from Ruth Osoro. And Jazz Sawyers, with all the problems she's had, you know, the European Championships in 2024 in Rome, in the Olympic Stadium, I sat up in the stands with Jazz helping with commentary on the long jump, and she had a foot in a boot. She snapped her Achilles that winter. And she was in a terrible state, bless her. Her spirit's always good. She's one of those athletes, one of those people who's always smiling, but she's back with a bang.
That's wonderful for Jazz Sawyers, and she's spoken really about how this Commonwealth Games has been so important in her career. It was a silver in 2014 in Glasgow that sort of showed her she could be a world-class athlete and get herself up among the very best in the world, and to come back 12 years later to Glasgow in her 4th Commonwealth Games and take a gold amidst those snapping your Achilles. That's career-ending for so many athletes. She showed significant issues, yes, last year trying to get herself back into championship form. I think she says she's done. She's not taking that last jump. No need.
Well, she was born in Stoke-on-Trent to a Jamaican father and an English mother, and her mother, get this, there'll be a few salutes as a result of that gold medal. Her mother later became the Chief Constable of Staffordshire. How fabulous is that? Confirmation of Jazz Sawyers being on top of the Commonwealth on this day, 6 meters 93. She will be champion for another 4 years, ahead of Ruth Osoro, the English athlete. Ruth Osoro for Nigeria in the silver medal position, and Brooke Bushkul in 3rd. Ahmed Zofsky, the best of the rest there for Australia, in 4th, with Tyree Gittins of Trinidad and Tobago in 5th. And the English athletes, Hadwin Palmer in 6th and 7th, and Akeelia Smith of Jamaica in 8th.
Time for the men's 800-metre final. 3 Aussies down there, 2 Englishmen, a couple of Kenyans and a Jamaican, all of which will believe they're capable of medaling. 4 or 5 of them probably think this is theirs to lose. And Peyton Craig on the outside for Australia, World Under-20 silver medalist a few years ago. Navaski Anderson was 7th in the World Champs final last year in a national record of 1:42. Patterson picked up the bronze last time out in Birmingham. He then picked up a bronze at the World Championships the year after. Kelvin Lottie goes in lane 5, semi-finalist at last year's World Championships. Peter Bowl of Australia, silver in Birmingham back in 2022. Alex Bottrell is in his first senior international event, and he's made the final, 1:44.1, his new lifetime best this year. The Oceanic champion Luke Boys goes in lane 2 for Australia. And the 2-time champion Wycliffe Kinyamal going for a hat-trick today. We've seen Jemima Montag manage it in the race walk, Lyndon Victor manage it in the decathlon. Can Kinyamal do it here in the men's 800 metres? The full podium is here from last time out in Birmingham. And Wycliffe Kinyamal, the defending champion, he hasn't really shown much form since we were in Birmingham last time round, until we got here to Glasgow. He looked brilliant in the semi-finals. Haven't seen him look that good since Birmingham. And he's striding down the back straight, full of confidence. Navaski Anderson of Jamaica has got tremendous leg speed. I was looking to him as an athlete that might lead 25 through the first 200 metres. Wycliffe Kinyamal trying to win this from the front. Navaski Anderson on his shoulder. Boys and Craig and Boll, the 3 Australians, just behind the lead duo.
Yeah, Kinyamal set his stall out very early, didn't he? He went straight to the front. He wanted to make sure he can hug that inside lane. On his outside is Anderson from Jamaica, but here comes Boll. He's making a move as they come up to take the bell.
They come through the bell, 52 seconds, it's not that fast. Kinyamal controlling it from the front, no one really wanting to lead. Boll made a fantastic move there, very efficient with the energy he expended to leap out of the pack and be on the shoulder of the defending champion. Boys of Jamaica keeping himself out of the trouble. The tall Jamaican, Navaski Anderson, pinned on the inside at the moment. Wycliffe Kinyamal, he's trying to lift with every 100 metres, every 50 metres that goes past. And Wycliffe Kinyamal has kicked hard here with 200 metres to go. Peter Boll just about holding on. Navaski Anderson looking for space on the inside. Luke Boys going well in 4th place at the moment. Alex Bottrell looking for space on the inside. Wycliffe Kinyamal trying to go for a 3rd consecutive title here, but he's not going to manage it. Navaski Anderson powering on the outside. Boys of Australia moving well, but it's going to be a win for Navaski Anderson of Jamaica, 2nd for Luke Boys of Australia, and there was a tussle down the home straight. Wycliffe Kinyamal weaving all over the place, fatigued and tired, seeing his title defence run away from him. But that was calm for Navaski Anderson. He's got a lot of leg speed. He often leads races. He's often out there in the front. And today, he was calm. He let Wycliffe Kinyamal do the work. And then he didn't panic down the back straight as well. He tucked in, let everybody else show their cards. And the turn of pace he had in the last 60 was brilliant.
He ran an excellent race, Anderson. As you say, he let Kinyamal get out to the front, lead that race, and he just sat on his shoulder, just making sure he was blocking anybody else coming round the outside. And then he come into those closing stages of the race, he made his move. Boll moved brilliantly as he came into that 1 lap marker as well. He didn't wait until the bends. He got himself into position at the bell into 2nd place. But Anderson ran a fantastically timed race. He just let Kinyamal do all the work. And in those closing stages of the race, the Kenyan athlete was struggling. You see here, he's already digging deep. He's looking to his left. Look at Bottrell trying to get through on the inside as well, trying to get past the Kenyan. And the Kenyan, you said, is all over the place.
That was a really chaotic battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Anderson, hats off to the Jamaican. He was clear. Luke Boys, fantastic positioning throughout the race. He was always out of trouble. And then there was a clash between Wycliffe Kinyamal, who's still in the bronze medal position at the moment, and Alex Bottrell. And Bottrell tried to get back running, tried to get his momentum going, and in the end he was overtaken by his teammate Ben Patterson. They were 4th and 5th.
Well, do you know, in a tactical race, you have got to run smart. It's absolutely critical. And Alex Bottrell, Steve Cram standing beside us, screaming at his athlete, ran into traffic with 50 metres to go. He had the legs, he didn't have the space, and ended up in 5th place. The English athletes, Patson and Bottrell, leaving themselves too much to do over the 2nd half of the home straight. And Navaski Anderson, it'll be a fascinating one, that one to watch. I reckon coaches could use that as a manual for how to racing, championship racing. Luke Boys, a brilliant silver there for the Australians. Who would have thought he'd come through for 2nd? Kinyamal, well, he's on the rostrum again. He's had a heck of a run of medal winning at these championships over the years. But yeah, championship racing, incredibly unpredictable, predictable again and again and again.
Yeah, Kinyamal had to fight for that bronze medal though, didn't he? And he had to wrestle for that bronze medal, and that was at the expense of Alex Bottrell. But that is the first time Jamaica have ever won this title.
Wow. That 800 metres was something I was really looking forward to, and it did not disappoint. We're going to catch up with the men's pole vault, don't forget, the men's mile coming up pretty soon as well.
Well, we haven't paid much attention to this pole vault, but the Indian Meena cleared 5:10, first time of asking. And in these technical disciplines, the Indians beginning to penetrate the best positions in the Commonwealth. He's a 5:46 vaulter. Clears 5:30 there at the first attempt, Meena, to maintain his challenge. Well, there's the lineup for this next event, the men's mile, and it promises so much. Has been talked about at length in bars and coffee shops for weeks.
My train journey on the way into the stadium today, everybody was talking about it. I didn't chip in, but there was a lot of favouritism for Josh Kerr and Jake Whiteman here in Glasgow.
Well, of course there was 13 starters. The champion in 2022 was added to the field after a fall in the heats. Masalela, can he cause a surprise here? More established as an 800-metre runner. If this is slow, he could fancy his chances. There's Hall, the defending champion. Shite of South Africa is a 3:59 miler, that's all, but in this sort of company, he may get run out of it. Jake Whiteman, bronze medalist 4 years ago, world champion back in 2022. Number 2 all-time at 1,000 metres after a brilliant run in Monaco 3 weeks ago. Foster Malek, beside the Scot, the Canadian here, is a 3:54 miler. And Tom Keane beside him, well, he improved to 3:49 this year, the Englishman. Adam Spencer goes for Australia, the 24-year-old. He's a 3:49 miler. That was last year. Brian Komen of Kenya, 3:54. That's his lifetime best. Samuel Tanner, a very fast finisher, the Kiwi. Watch him. He's a 3:49 miler as well. Jake Hayward improving to 3:46. At the London Diamond League 2 weeks ago tonight, behind that world record of Josh Kerr. Timothy Cheruiyot, world champion back in 2019. After all he's achieved, he set a lifetime best back in July at the Prefontaine meeting. The world record holder Josh Kerr, 2 weeks ago, 3:42.66 in London at the Diamond League. He predicted it back in late March. You know, he'd run an unofficial world record for 1,200 4 weeks earlier. We suspected it was coming, and Cam Myers there. Well, he's the youngster, the young pretender to the throne, perhaps. Cameron Myers, only 20, back on the 9th of June. This could be called the second miracle mile after the fabulous clash in 1954 between Bannister and Landy. Many pundits going for Kerr, Whiteman, Myers in this one. Can anybody else spoil their party? 3 of the last 4 world champions going in this race. And miling is a very different event to the Co-Cramovet era. They're hard and fast these days, but this could well be tactical, ironically, as they run into a wind up the back straight with the white vest of Masalela of Botswana in the front. Josh Kerr on the inside there, boxed at the moment. Everybody predicting a massive clash here between the two vests of the Scots. Kerr, the world record holder. Jake Whiteman, the former world champion, who is also a very, very quick miler himself, Jake Whiteman. And being taken around a nice steady tempo over this first 300 metres. It's about 45-46, I think, at 300.
I think you were right to cite Chapiso Masalela as a danger if the race went slowly. But Masalela, perhaps all that leg speed in the first 100 metres as the athletes were jostling is what's seen him leading the field through the first lap in 59. That's not going to trouble any of these men. That's absolutely fine. Komen in second place, Whiteman in third. And Cam Myers, the Australian, running a patient race here. He's been leading on the circuit, and his team have clearly said to him, you cannot try and run away from the start from a field of this calibre, but they're bumping and barging in the middle of the field there.
Masalela leading, Whiteman staying off the curb, Shite 2, it's 4 or 5 abreast there after a lap and a half. Kerr still boxed on the inside, but that doesn't matter this early in the race. He'll want to move out from there on the third lap. Very, very slow and tight, this one. I hope nobody goes down. The defending champion, Ahor, is third from the back, and actually young Cam Myers, second from the back, has got a lot of work to do. He's badly boxed too. He's actually now in the middle of the pack, Cam Myers. Masalela having a free run at it here. Kerr looking for a little bit of daylight as they come towards 800 metres. Komen there in second place. Down the outside it's Tanner, and then also moving through nicely there is Jake Hayward in the red of Wales.
There are push and shoves left, right and centre here. This is what happens when the pace is slow. No one quite wants to lead with 2 laps to go. So everyone's making these micro moves. They're swinging round and slowing down again. Masalela doing a really good job of staying out of trouble. Timothy Cheruiyot's already taken 1 step on the infield. Here he goes around the outside.
Well, Masalela running into the wind here, and this is a big move from Timothy Cheruiyot, the first big player, and pushed onto the inside there is Tom Keane as Tim Cheruiyot hits the front and causes some panic in the pack. Cam Myers there. into second place. Josh Kerr back in about 9th or 10th at the moment there, the second of the two blue vests. Jake Wyman off the curb, Cheetah of South Africa running wide. Tim Cheruiyot into the straight, and Cam Myers looking strong there in second place, with the rest of the field here looking at each other, watching who's going to go first as they hit the bell. 3 minutes exactly. That was a 57.7, but they've got to catch Cheruiyot now. Myers well positioned. The Scots likewise with 300 metres to go. Kerr on the shoulder of Myers. Whiteman back in 5th place. Tanner on the inside in the black, and into the back straight now they go. Also looking strong is Jake Hayward down the back straight as Josh Kerr hits the front. Has he got the speed here? Remember, 51 seconds for that final lap in that 1200 time trial 3 or 4 weeks back, as Whiteman follows him through, and Kerr gets a bit of daylight here. Cam Myers lost for speed at the moment in 5th place. Cheruiyot on the inside as Kerr hits the front. 3:42 mile in his legs, and he has blown them away on the final bend. Destroyed one of the greatest fields ever. Look at the gap. Cheruiyot in second. Myers finding the legs come through for the silver. Is he going to get Hayward the bronze there? Oh, it's very tight for the bronze. Wow. Josh Kerr delivered 2 weeks ago. He predicted that world record months and months ahead, and he lives up to it here. And he wins this second edition of what I think can justifiably be called the Miracle Mile by a country mile. Very comfortable victory indeed there for Josh Kerr. 3:54.12. All the hard running coming on that final lap. 57 was the penultimate lap. We'll get the split view on the final circuit. But Kerr from Myers, from Cheruiyot, Jake Hayward just run out of the medals. A brilliant run by Ollie Hoare there in 5th place. Not many expected that. And Jake Whiteman couldn't find the form he showed in Monaco 3 weeks ago in that marvellous 1000. He finished in 6th.
That was one of the most chaotic men's miles/1500s I've watched at championships. It was so physical. The amount of energy that these men have expended for a 3:54 is far in excess of what the clock shows. And there were so many moments. Josh Kerr was desperately looking for a way out. He was desperately looking to swing round and pull wide. He didn't manage it until they went into the bell. Timothy Cheruiyot did a good job of getting himself into the lead at that bell. The Kenyan made an important move to separate himself from the bodies around him. Cam Myers was playing catch-up in the end on the home straight, nudged himself ahead of Timothy Cheruiyot, but in the end, as expected, Josh Kerr just too good in the last 200 metres, and the noise here in Scotstoun was phenomenal, and they'd saved those fireworks for Josh Kerr, hadn't they?
Well, it was a fittingly tough tactical race. My notes say that the Miracle Mile in Vancouver back in 1954 was a battle of wits between Bannister and Landy, and that one likewise. But the different nature of the races was quite stark on the final circuit there, because Josh Kerr has a devastating turn of pace. He set a personal best for 800 back in May, 1:44, but frankly, he looks capable of running a couple of seconds quicker than that in this sort of shape. His confidence must have been sky high, Anna. You know full well what it's like to go into a championships in great form. And he never panicked, despite being in a little bit of trouble mid-race, early race and mid-race. He was right back there, found daylight. Tim Cheruiyot was the one who took the initiative. Congratulations to him for taking a brilliant bronze. Even though he was shoved onto the infield there, it was really untidy. I mean, that is championship racing. You never see that on the commercial circuit.
We're looking here at 2 laps to go, and Josh Kerr's having to push Athys out of his way to stay on his feet. Cheruiyot got the race going proper, but they were all still involved at this stage. And Jake Whiteman was poised well to follow the move of his Scottish teammate, and unfortunately he couldn't quite hold it down the home straight. But a sensational gold for Josh Kerr. A well-earned silver for the youngster, the 20-year-old Cam Myers. And Timothy Cheruiyot, the world champion back in 2019, on a major podium. And Kerr with time to celebrate. And I just wonder, Tim, with that 3:42, if you were feeling really confident, if you weren't feeling the effects of that world record attempt, surely you'd go out and lead the whole thing. There's been whisperings that Kerr has felt tired emotionally and physically, and so he knew maybe he couldn't just lead the race.
Well, he's been back in the bosom of his family in Edinburgh for the last couple of weeks since that world record. Maybe that's reinvigorated him, recharged the batteries. He's kept a fairly low profile, I think, his last couple of weeks after the initial celebrations post-world record. But it's one thing to get to the front of a race of that caliber. It's quite another to destroy a field in the space of 100 metres around that final bend like he did.
The race before was the men's 800 metres, won by Navaski Anderson ahead of Luke Boys and Wycliffe Kinyamal. A first ever gold medal for Jamaica here in the men's 800 metres.
Well, two typical championship middle distance races there. The men's 800 and the mile straight after. Both untidy, both unpredictable.
Bar at 5:50 here in the men's pole vault. Owen Hurd has got a share of the lead with Curtis Marshall. Hurd's got a clean scorecard. Marshall didn't come in until 5:40. Marshall's actually skipped here at 5:50. So Hurd's got a chance to go into the outright lead. And he does it. That's a nice jump from Owen Hurd. 5:71 this season. And his name's on those T-shirts. I imagine some close friends or family. And that really meant a lot for him. And it being a first-time clearance as well, that's giving the Englishman a good bit of an advantage over his competitors.
Yes, he's vaulting beautifully, isn't he? Owen Hurd. Now, Kyle Rademeyer, the South African. First attempt at 5:50, had a little hiccup at 5:40. Nice, plenty of height there too from Rademeyer. Wow, if he can see a replay of that, he'll get a boost. 24-year-old, it's only a 5.65 vaulter, that's only fifth this season. That's only 15 centimetres below his best. Won the African Championship back in 2024. He's familiar with the pressures of championship competition.
Here's our first look here on the coverage of Curtis Marshall. We saw him warming up and getting introduced to the crowd. He has had one clearance at 5 metres and 40, and then he's passed. He's got black tacky here. Some of the athletes use chalk. Most of the athletes nowadays use that to ensure they've got a good grip in the pole. Marshall, first attempt at 5:60. Oh, so far over, new lifetime best, 6 metres this season. Of course became the first man to beat Mondo Duplantis in about 3 years. Earlier on this season in Stockholm. Said he'd waited, I think it was some 30 Diamond Leagues for a win, and then he finally got one, then got another one the next week in Oslo as well.
Yeah, funny, isn't it, that he's known for not being a 6 metre vault so much as the guy that broke the streak from Mondo Duplantis.
I think he probably likes both of those titles, doesn't he? Have a look at the men's 100 metre relay ceremony. Just gives us a moment to calm down after that men's 800 metres and the 1500 metres, both of them wonderful adverts for middle distance running. So we're going to have the men's 4x1 medal ceremony. After this one, it's going to be the women's first.
Please welcome the medalists.
And my guess would be they've swapped these medal ceremonies. There was a couple of disqualifications in the men's race. I do just wonder if there's going to be some appeals going in from the Canadians, and I think it was the South Africans as well that were disqualified initially.
Well, no prizes for guessing who those yellow tracksuits belong to in the middle. Arif Saeed, Commonwealth Games Association of Pakistan, the president, will be making the presentations, along with Emily Cumming, representative of one of the sponsors there, assisting with these presentations. The bronze medals going to Trinidad and Tobago. Their team has a nice mix of experience and youth. Aye has been around a long time there. She was their lead-off athlete. Bascom, the bespectacled athlete, second to left, just 22 years old, ran a fabulous second leg in her heat earlier on this morning, and a brilliant second leg there tonight. Perhaps the foundation, those first two legs to that performance from Trinidad and Tobago to take the bronze. I thought they were heading for silver But the team that ended up in second place were so strong. Great changeovers from the Canadian quartet. But for Trinidad and Tobago, IA, Bascom, Webster and Bertrand with their quartet. Jamaica were just bronze medalists in 2022. This time they went 2 places better. They finished ahead of this team. Canada taking the silver medals. McCreath, Leclerc, Chasson and Leduc. Now they changed their racing order here, the Canadians. Fascinating adjustment. Leduc was on the final leg for them. This morning she was on the second leg. McCreath was on the final leg, the anchor leg for them this morning. This evening she was their lead-off athlete. Seems to be whichever way they mix it, the Canadians will be strong in the relays. And having won their heat this morning, they ended up in second place this evening. Silver medals for Canada. The only team that could beat them were the team that won the other heat, effectively 2 semi-finals this morning. Canada winning the first. Jamaica were the quickest in the second heat this morning, the quickest of all this morning, and the quickest this evening as well. Not that far ahead though of the Canadians. Jamaica are the champions of the women's 4x100 metres relay. Reid, Jay Williams, Elle Williams and Ashanti Moore there on the final leg for them. Their quartet, 42.65 their winning time. It's a marginally quicker than they ran this morning in the heats, and fun enough, their heat this time this morning was a little bit quicker than Canada's silver medal winning time this evening. So they are very worthy champions, the 2 quickest times of the day, if you like, for those of you who like some stats. Ashanti Moore taking that medal, and the cuddly toy that each of them is presented with. The shop had run out of those a couple of days ago when somebody was looking for them. They obviously kept some back for the medalists. So more gold for the Jamaicans in the women's 4x100 metres relay, ahead of Canada's silver and a bronze for Trinidad and Tobago. Australia finished in 4th, England 5th. The 2022 champions Nigeria having settled for 6th on this occasion, with Scotland in 7th, and the Gambia bringing up the rear in that final. Well, just the mixed 4x400 metres relay to come, and the women's 1 mile to close proceedings here in Scotstoun. The crowd, of course, will stay on for those and for the medal ceremonies that come after. Great crowd in here this evening, not many spare seats. There's the result of that 1 mile. What an untidy race it was, unpredictable. Josh Kerr, though, delivering after his world record 2 weeks ago today. Cam Myers, a super silver there for Australia, and Timothy Chariot taking the bronze for Kenya. Jake Hayward just run out of it.
Bar 560 in the men's pole vault. Owen Hurd without a failure so far, the Englishman, has extended the streak of English medals in this event. It's going to be 6 straight medals for England at the Commonwealth Games. But the colour of the medal is going to be determined by the next few heights, and a first-time clearance at 5.60 for Hurd does his cause no harm at all. He's matching Curtis Marshall jump for jump. Rademeyer of South Africa is in the bronze medal position at the moment. The South African has 1 failure at 5.40. And I just wonder if we're going to start seeing Rademeyer passing, because if he wants to promote himself from bronze to silver, he's going to need to jump higher than Hurd now. I think Bert Rademeyer looking good here. And of course, that's me making the assumption that Curtis Marshall is ultimately going to go higher. I made the wrong assumption yesterday in the women's pole vault. I was giving all the attention to Nina Kennedy. And in the end, she got beaten by Eliza McCartney down into silver.
Well, it's time for the inaugural edition of the mixed 4x400 metres relay at the Commonwealth Games. It's never taken place before. It's now in the Olympic Games and the World Championships, and it is as of tonight in the Commonwealth Games programme as well. There are the 8 teams: India, Zambia, Jamaica, Nigeria, England going 5, Kenya in 6, Australia 7, and Scotland in 8. All the usual culprits are in there, the teams that have been taking a lot of medals. The Kenyan quartet, well, that's Tanui, Chebet, Maresa and Okech. The Aussies, Sherman, Gross, Reynolds and Pollard. It goes man, woman, man, woman. In the early editions of these races around the planet, the teams could choose the order they would run in, but then I think World Athletics realised it looked really untidy, and you had women against men, and it looked a bit uneven and not really fair competition in some respects. So they announced a rule to make it a dictatorial format of man, woman, man, woman. That's the way it has to be. Kenya there feeling the cold is Chebet. She'll be on the second leg. There you go, in lane 6. All smiles. A little bit of fun really to this. I think it's the only discipline in the track and field programme where men and women get to mix in the one discipline as a team. Scotland go on the outside. Young, Grieve, Francis and Nicole Jürgen on the final leg for them there to the left of picture, Jürgen. In 7, it's the Australians. Sherman, Gross, Reynolds and Pollard. Can they deliver here? They have done so often over these last 6 days. The Kenyans, when we saw them just now, look at the difference in height there between these athletes. Tanui and Chebet. Talk about little and large, or large and little, should I say. Tanui will take them out. Chebet, he will hand over to. That'll be a sight. England have Jeffries, Yami Mary John, Harries and Lena Nielsen on the final leg. That's a pretty strong quartet, but they're up against some very strong teams here. The Nigerians in 4. Well, they have Ogazi, their secret weapon. There he is to the right. He was the individual 400-metre champion this morning. Nathaniel, George, Ogazi, and Onujuevo, their quartet. That is a very strong squad. That might be a gold medal winning squad for Nigeria in 4. The Jamaicans go in 3. Barnes, Anderson, Kennedy and Oakley. Their foursome. Zambia go in lane 2. Luchembe, Minglishi, Nyambe and Kapunjila. We've had unpredictable events already in the last hour or so. I wonder if this one will be more predictable. And then India on the inside. Thenarasu, Kyle Vizi, Babu, Tamila Rasaran and Rashdeep Kaur, their quartet. The Indians have surprised us in quite a few disciplines this last few days. They've built up a nice little collection of medals. So I wonder how they will go here. Let's hope the Battens get round safely. India 7th on the overall medal table. The Australians still leading with 10 golds to Jamaica's 9. The Jamaicans could adjust their total of golds here if they get this one right. So the first ever edition then of the mixed 4x400 metres relay at these Commonwealth Games. India in 1, Zambia 2, Jamaica 3, Nigeria 4, England 5, Kenya in 6, and then Australia in 7, and the host Scotland in lane 8. Well, who will come out on top here? They will break from lanes until after the second leg runner has run that first bend down the back straight. Who's showing best of all? Looks like England have gone up really well in lane 5. Jeffries for them in the white and red, fourth from left. But it's so hard to tell with the stagger unwinding after 500 metres correctly. Good running from the Australian lead-off athlete here. Sherman down the home straight is already past Young of Scotland. Great running too from England's Nathaniel. He maybe leads here as they come down to the first changeover. Nigeria, remember, will be strong throughout in that green strip.
I think the baton going to Nigeria, just Ezekiel Nathaniel, the 400-metre hurdles champion, doing a great job. We've already lost Zambia, unfortunately. Their lead leg runner pulled off with 100 metres, run of the race. But Nigeria striding down to the back straight, but it is Australia. Amir Gross, who's a brilliant 200-metre runner. I think she's using that speed to good effect here in the relays. She did it in the heats as well, streaking ahead at the break. And it's going to be Kenya challenging Nigeria for second place. George of Nigeria trying to hold the inside. And here comes Yemi Mary John of England, the 6th place individual athlete in the 400 metres. But Mia Gross has run a fantastic leg here, just keeping her team out of trouble. Her handover is going to be simple. Look at this, the other athletes are going to be cutting each other up, looking for the next runner.
Well, they hand over and it's Australia in the lead. The third leg runner for Australia heads out. It's Reynolds who goes out in the lead. England in second place. Good running this from Harries. Lovely leg there from Yami Mary John, making up for a 6th place in the individual 400 this morning. And a big challenge here from England. This is an early attack, trying to get past the Aussie run. He cuts in maybe a bit early there. That might lead to an appeal. The Australian being bulked, certainly. I'm not sure there was room for Harries to get through, but he does it anyway. The Australian in second place will have fire in his belly here, yet Reynolds, as they come off the bend. Handing over now for this final leg. The Nigerians have made good progress here. Ogazi, the individual 400 champion, has made massive inroads and will hand over marginally in the lead.
Wow, look at that. 3 teams side by side as they go into the final leg of the mixed 4x4. Lena Nielsen was 4th in the individual 4 hurdles. And look at the sprint from the Nigerian athlete, Onajuevo. She was 3rd in the 400 metres individually. Dejane Oakley, though, is chasing hard. The Jamaican won that women's 400 metres. Nigeria have got quite the lead here, ahead of England. Australia now coming under pressure from Jamaica. Dejane Oakley, 48-second runner this season. Surely she can't do it. She can't hold back the massive lead of Onajuevo here. She's going to have a go. Onajuevo into the home straight. Dejane Oakley pulls alongside, pumps her arms hard. Look at this from Jamaica. Lena Nielsen coming through for second with England, but Dejane Oakley makes it 2 golds today at the Commonwealth Games. Lena Nielsen held her nerve to bring them home for a silver medal, the English quartet. And Onajuevo just struggled, just tired legs. I think she did run this morning. And I think it's great to see Nigeria make it onto the podium.
Wow. Jamaica do get that gold. Brilliant running from Lena Nielsen there on that final leg. Crikey, England coming through for the silver. Nigeria, who I thought might be favourites, getting beaten there. But of course, Oakley, as individual champion, was irresistible there on that final leg. And Kenya, a fine 4th there, just behind the Nigerians in the bronze medal position. Wow, that was exciting. That was brilliant. Great racing, lots of changes of position. Danny, I know you love your sprinting as a good 800-metre runner yourself. You must have run a few relay legs in your time.
Yeah, well, I started my life out as a 400-metre runner, but not quite as quick as that.
Really?
Oakley was absolutely phenomenal. I just the gap she closed up in down the back straight. She started moving down the back straight. The Nigerian athlete went out way too quick. She took out Nielsen so quickly in the early stages, that last lap, and she just paid the price in the closing stages.
I think that's a really good point, Danny. I think Onojavrevo was running scared, really. This is the first changeover. It was a good start from Nathaniel of Nigeria, giving them a small lead. I was impressed here with the decision-making of this trading is to put Mia Gross on the second leg. We spoke about it yesterday. If your team's leading over the other side of the track, you get the inside position here. The Australians dominated that, and Reynolds had a relatively simple job getting the baton compared to the other teams. Look at the chaos behind, even for Jamaica. I think Kennedy there weaving around the English team. That would have cost the Jamaicans a bit of time. And Samuel Ogazi put in a real shift for the Nigerians, the individual champion earlier on. And I wonder, you did say, Danny, Onojavrevo possibly too aggressive through the first 200 metres, but maybe that's the only way she thought she could stay ahead of Dejani Oakley. I cannot wait to see the split for Oakley. It's going to be absolutely obscene, and she looked exhausted. You could see the 4x1 team and her mixed 4x4 teammates just trying to carry her off the track.
And that was great by Lena Nielsen as well, because she didn't panic. She didn't get dragged along by that fast pace in the first 200 metres, that last lap. She just stuck to her own plan.
I reckon it'll be in the 47s, that leg from Oakley, and that is rare. You're talking about an athlete who probably, come next year, maybe later on this season, can go sub 48 for the individual 400.
Bars up at 470 in the men's pole vault. Perfection from Curtis Marshall so far. He's trying to become a three-time winner at this event. That would make him the most successful male pole vaulter in the Commonwealth Games ever. And that's a great start from him, up over 570. And he said he was inspired to take up pole vault watching Steve Hooker win gold at the Olympic Games in Beijing. He jumped 2 meters the first time he ever tried pole vault. He's done pretty well since then.
Well, here's Rademeyer. Perfect card. Well, minus, apart from that, a little hiccup at 540, but really good at 550, 560. This is second attempt at 570 for the South African. Oh, nice. Oh, flips over it. Gives it a little tickle, but it stays up there for Rademeyer. Well, that is a season's best for him. No wonder he's celebrating the 24-year-old. You have to go back to 2023 for his personal best of 582. That was when he was just a 21-year-old. But he is on a fine form now, and he has peaked perfectly.
Owen Hurd has had a perfect evening here so far. Look at all those first-time clearances, but he is struggling here with 570. That clearance from Rademeyer has pushed Hurd down into the bronze medal position. He's still on the podium for England. He wants to have a sniff at silver or maybe even gold. He's got to get over here. Oh, he's well over. That was fantastic from Owen Hurd. His lifetime best is only 571. He's done that this season. He's this year's British champion. And he has earned the right to have a go at 5 meters and 80. That'll be a huge lifetime best for Owen Hurd or Kyle Rademeyer, the athletes in second and third at the moment.
Well, there's a nice separation between the athletes in first, second and third. Curtis Marshall, all three of them, by the way, over 570, as we see the latter stages of that men's 4x1. Now, is there a disqualification here? Yes, look at South Africa. Oh, on the line there, I think, before that changeover.
So Nkana well on the inside now, and we're looking at the Canadians, perhaps. They were the other team that were disqualified.
Oh.
And this is the moment that Nigeria learnt that there had been a disqualification in their favour, and the Canadians learnt that they'd been penalised. Still not quite sure on that second disqualification there for Canada. It's been given the same kind of rule book as South Africa, so I think it is a lane infringement for both. And that meant that Nigeria were elevated from bronze to silver and Ghana from fourth to bronze. We haven't had that medal ceremony yet. There has been a delay. I'm sure there would have been counter appeals from Canada and South Africa. We were due to have that men's 4x1 medal ceremony just before the women's 4x1. And you can see that replay there in the disqualifications explaining why we haven't awarded those medals yet.
Well, that pole vault continues. I was telling you how the three medalists have all gone over 570, but Marshall cleared it first time. Rademeyer of South Africa in second place cleared it second time, and Owen Hurd of England in the bronze medal position cleared it third time. Rademeyer's securing a medal will be the first time for South Africa in 24 years since Oggett Brits took gold back in 2002 for them.
Curtis Marshall, no failures yet. The bar at 580. First sort of got himself involved in the very top stages of the sport in Budapest, where he took a shared bronze. Oh, he's well over that. He took his very own bronze in Tokyo, and then he's gone on to 6 meters. That's equaled Steve Hooker's games record, the man that inspired this guy to take up pole vault. That's really nice. I want it for himself. He won't want well, maybe he does want an equal games record with Steve Hooker, a real hero of Australian pole vaulting. And look at this, a drone shot for pole vault. Isn't that nice? Miles over.
You get to experience the feeling of flying like the athletes themselves. I was going to say he's taken it into territory that Owen Hurd of England and Rademeyer of South Africa have never been, but actually Rademeyer has vaulted 582. That was in 2023. He'll have to find that form to get back with a chance of taking the gold. Curtis Marshall equaling that games record. Perfect card still. 4 vaults, 4 clearances. And Rademeyer will vault after Owen Hurd, who will be next to go. The Englishman perfect up to 570, and then he cleared it third time with his fan club in the stands, really close to where he's vaulting. But he's a lovely fella, Curtis Marshall, very relaxed on the circuit. A regular, part of that sort of family of vaulters that a journeyman from one Diamond League meeting to another, and many of the big World Athletics gold level meetings as well.
That's a good spot there for Rademeyer, Tim. That's not on our computer system, that 582. There he is. And he has been jumping really well. And this guy, no heighted in Tokyo last summer. And that's so hard to come back from. Sort of the fear when you're coming into a competition, just having that in your memory will forever live with you, the disappointment of a no mark. But the bar at 580, Curtis Marshall already clear. Owen Hurd is going to try it first. This would be a 9-centimetre PB if he got it. His clearances have been massive, Owen Hurd, but the fatigue, surely it's starting to set in. 7 jumps already. This would be number 8. Wasn't bad from Owen Hurd. He does just drifted off to the right-hand side, so there's some adjustments to be made there. And maybe a slight hesitation into the pole plant, just a little bit of a last-minute realisation that he's trying to add 9 centimetres to his PB.
I thought he attacked that really positively. It's a big personal best he's going for. Here's that 4x100 metres finish. Australia taking it, but there were disqualifications. And unfortunately, the result has changed from what we saw initially.
Another update on the men's 4x100. Canada have been reinstated, so the top 3 are back to what they were across the line. Australia, Canada, Nigeria, and Ghana off the podium again. What a roller coaster for the Ghanaian quartet.
I reckon what the Canadians have said is that the baton had changed hands before any foot from their incoming runner touched the line. And therefore the baton was legal, that what the incoming runner does after he's passed over the baton is up to him.
Unless he impedes another team, and we were focusing in there on the last changeover, and perhaps they decided that they didn't interfere with any of the other teams significantly. That is right, Tim, the baton, it's all about the baton in these relays, and if the baton did 400 metres, you can't, that's the most important thing. It can't take a shortcut, and you can't mess with any of the other teams really as well.
It's all about the feet of the person holding the baton, isn't it? When it gets down to nitty-gritty.
But then is it still the chest over the line, isn't it? Not the baton. You can't lob the baton from 20 metres out.
But you can punch forward with one arm and get the corner of your chest over, so to speak.
Yeah.
Your pecs, as is the want these days. The Poles mastered that technique in middle distance races. Right, the South African then, Rademeyer. Marshall in the clear, he leads. And even if Rademeyer, who's in second place, clears this, all he will do is give himself more secure a grip on the silver medal, because he's had a couple of failures, cleared 5:40 second time, cleared 5:70 second time. Marshall, the Australian in the lead, has a perfect card. This 5:80 to secure the silver more firmly. No. Well, I'll tell you what, Owen Hurd's attempt was really good. I'd have given it, what do I know, but I'd have given it 8 out of 10, I guess.
It's hard here because Rademeyer and Hurd were both well over many of these earlier heights, and my form book, I had them as pretty similar on lifetime best, but now you've got in my head, Tim, saying that Rademeyer has actually gone out to 480. Here we go. Here's a look back at another potential disqualification. Sherman here towards the end of the first leg, stepping on the bend as he came into the home straight, and I think that will be enough to see the Australians disqualified in the mixed 4x4. They were out of the medals anyway, but that's still a real shame for them.
It is a real shame, and they have been disqualified. Zambia didn't finish, as you pointed out quite rightly, Hannah, but Australia are out. Jamaica, England and Nigeria still the medalists in that 4x4, but what a shame that we are having 1 or 2 disqualifications and controversies on this final night. We've had very few of them actually through the week over the last 6 days.
Well, those lane infringements do seem to be racking up. I just don't know if there's something about the way the lines are drawn on the track as we come into the home straight that's confusing athletes ever so slightly. Last event on the track here at the Commonwealth Games is going to be the women's mile. A lot of hopes for Jessica Hull. Silver in the 5,000. PBs are superior to the rest of the field. Second fastest ever over the mile. Gemma Reekie of Scotland going in her second event, the semi-finals of the 800, but now the final of the mile.
Well, we can already confirm that this is the best ever pole vault at the Commonwealth Games. So all 3 medal places, the result is the best for that place. Curtis Marshall here, who is just taping up the top of his pole there to give himself extra grip, stronger grip. Rademeyer in the silver medal position, 5:70 at the second time of asking for him. Owen Hurd, 5:70 at the third time of asking, and 1 failure for him, and he's next to Bull, but it was a very convincing attempt, if you know what I mean. Can you say a convincing failure? Can you say a good failure? It was very close to being a clearance. Meena of India, a distant 4th, by the way, with 5:30. And Wally of Wales, Tom Wally of Wales, in 5th place in the eventual shakeout. But Marshall probably feels he's relatively safe, having cleared 5:80 first time. The others have to clear 5:90 to beat him now. They've each had a failure. Here is Owen Hurd, coached by Kate Rooney, who has done a wonderful job with him, the UK champion this year. Now, 5:70, second time. Ooh, that wasn't bad either, but you begin to wonder if he's got the height in him. It was close, wasn't it? And he knows it too. Great that he's attacking this height. Studied at Loughborough University, all the best people go there. The Surrey man belongs to Harrow AC. Hannah's disagreeing with me here in a sort of silent gesture. What was where were you in university? Birmingham?
Yes, it was a soft boo.
Ah, that's okay. You're allowed to be soft booing.
Okay, I think he's starting to look a bit tired for me, Tim, Owen Hurd. I mean, maybe the adrenaline and the emotions will kick in for this third and final attempt. We'll go over and see Kate Rooney. Fans might remember her as Kate Dennison, who picked up a bronze in Delhi in the women's pole vault. She was the British record holder for a long time.
He's had 10 vaults, and yeah, fatigue does start to kick in around this time. Got to convince him it's possible. Here is the South African, Rademeyer. Taking his time, keeping calm, got to get the preparation in his head. done at the pace he wants. He's had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vaults. This will be his 9th, so Hurd has one more because he came in, actually, one height early. He came in at 5.10. The South African Rademacher coming in at 5.30. Initially, there were 20 centimetre increments. He stripped down very quickly, Rademacher, in his South African T-shirt and ready to go. He comes from Paarl. Studies at the University of South Alabama, though. Loves fishing, apparently. Does that to chill. Former World Junior Championship bronze medalist. Looks like he might be going for one colour better here. Second attempt for the South African at 5.80. Ooh, no. That, I want to say it was close, but I'm not sure. We need to see a shot from that bar camera, and you can see whether or not the centre of gravity really does get close. I'm not sure it did. It's looking better and better for Curtis Marshall. One hand on the gold medal, and the other one heading towards a stronger grip.
Maybe just for Rademacher, maybe just high enough, but similar to Owen Hurd here, I think you're trying to will yourself into thinking that a 5.80 is possible for those two. A few jumps left to go in the men's pole vault, and it's time for our final track action here at the Commonwealth Games. This has been a brilliant athletics and para-athletics programme in Scotstoun Stadium in the West End of Glasgow. The men's mile was a brilliant tactical affair, won by Josh Kerr nearly an hour ago now. And this is a very competitive women's mile. There's talk, whisperings of an Australian 1, 2, 3. There are plenty other women in this race that will disagree with that and want to stick their nose in. Longasia, an interesting athlete for me, the Kenyan. She is the NCA, the American Collegiate Champion this year. And if you can master that sort of tactical environment week in, week out over Division 1 NCA athletics, that is going to prepare you for the championship stage. Jess Hull, fastest on paper. Claudia Hollingsworth, the Australian champion, moved up from 800 metres very successfully this year. Teresia Gateri of Kenya, athlete on the outside. A couple of Scots in this. Gemma Reekie, better known as an 800-metre runner, but has said she wants to explore the 1500. And she knows it's a tough job, a tough ask. 12 athletes for this final of the women's mile. Under 20, 3,000 metre champion back in 2021, Gateri of Kenya will go on the outside. There's Gemma Reekie, 4th at the Tokyo Olympics over 800 metres. World indoor silver medalist in front of Glasgow in 2024. Naomi Korea of Kenya made the semi-final over 800 metres at the World Championships a few years ago. Karaba Moore is a South African national champion this year, the best of 4:05 over 1500. Here is the NCA champion, Rosemary Longisa. Simone Plord of Canada made it through to this final, just ran very well in the semi-finals. Abby Caldwell, the other Australian we haven't seen yet, she's a bronze medalist from Birmingham. She's lowered her lifetime best to 3:57 over 1500 this year. And Jessica Hull, a 4:13 miler, the second fastest woman of all time over this distance. Lucia Stafford looked strong in qualification. She led it out. Might the Canadian do the same here in the final? Two-time national champion Sarah Calvert, she won the British title around about 5 weeks ago. Claudia Hollingsworth won that Australian national title over 1500 and then was second in the 800. And the Welshwoman on the inside, the 20-year-old Ava Lloyd, who ran so bravely to make it into this final. All to play for in this women's 1 mile final. Australia have never won this title, and they've got 3 genuine medal hopes or gold medal hopes. And what will the tactics be here from Jess Hull? She's got the 5,000 metres in her legs. She took the silver there behind her teammate Rose Davis. She does front run a lot on the circuit, Jess Hull. She had the luxury of following Faith Kipyegon for loads of races, and then this year, in the absence of Faith Kipyegon, she's taken up that mantle of front running, and it hasn't always suited her. It's very hard to do that front running correctly, so I'm not expecting a gun-to-tape effort from Jess Hull. I'm expecting a big surge, maybe with 700 to go or so.
Yeah, Jess Hull did look fantastic in that 5,000 metres. Rose Davies was just a little bit more fantastic, but that doesn't take away from how strong she looked. If she has recovered, she'll be okay here. Gemma Reekie at the front, she'll be one of the quickest finishers. She's certainly the quickest in this field over 800 with that personal best of 1:55. She'll want to make amends here for a relatively poor run in the 800 metres. But Calvert too, the UK champion for the last 2 years, just jogging along there for Scotland. That Scottish pair getting the crowd on their feet. They're loving this. What value for money they've had here tonight. Very slow this. It's absolutely pedestrian. They go through there in almost 74 seconds.
Very slow through the opening 400. The two Scots can't resist it, can they? And who can blame them in front of a home crowd with the proclaimers blasting from the speakers? It's Calvert and Reekie leading a very pedestrian women's mile. Kateri swings on the outside. It's hard to tell which of these moves is serious and which is just an athlete wanting a position further up in the field. Ava Lloyd doing well, pinned on the inside for Wales. And 3 Kenyans on the outside. They're all running wide. Doesn't matter at this pace though. It matters when the kick starts that you start running the shorter line. But at the moment it just doesn't.
Sorry, you can see Kateri there, I think maybe just gesturing to her teammate behind her, who maybe clipped her from behind. Correa, Kateri in third, and the shoulder of the two Scots, actually creating a bit of a barrier. Some athletes quite badly boxed there. It doesn't matter, they've got over 2 laps to run. They're tiptoeing along here around this second lap. This is almost Paula Radcliffe marathon pace they're running up. It's desperately slow, but this is championship racing. Jess Hull now off the curb, moving down the outside, and I expect her to try and take control on this third lap.
I just wonder if Jess Hull will have a look at the rest of the field and wonder if she might make a move based on where everyone else is positioned. There was a very nervous look from Abby Caldwell when she spotted that Jess Hull was moving up. It's even slower through the second lap, and Gemma Reekie starting to look around. There's been a couple of half moves and more of South Africa darting to the outside here and then settling in. They've only got 700 to go. Someone is going to lose their patience at any moment.
Well, that's Karabo Moore of South Africa moving around the outside, and here's a big attack going in from Stafford, Lucia Stafford. Are the Scots going to react to this correctly? That creates the panic. That's the Timothy Chariot move in the women's mile.
And Lucia Stafford, I said she led in the opening round, and she is the woman that's lost her patience. And suddenly, the sprint is on here in the women's mile. It's going to be a lightning quick last 600. All the big players still well positioned. Lucia Stafford leads the way. Sarah Calvert on her shoulder. Kateri doing well for Kenya. The Australians just starting to get themselves organised. They're still in the middle of the pack. It's going to be such a quick final circuit.
Well, Calvert has fabulous speed in the blue of Scotland, but she's got to fight for her place here. She does that. She's got to stay on the shoulder of the leaders. They go through the bell there. That lap 67, still not super quick.
They're absolutely flying here on the final circuit in Scotstoun Stadium in the final race. Lucia Stafford, 4 dead, a new lifetime best this season, and the Canadian is absolutely going for it. Fearless down the back straight. Abby Caldwell is right behind her. Jessica Hull there as well. And the charge is on from Kateri. Claudia Hollingsworth leaving it late here. She's trying to get her yellow vest up with her teammates. Stafford, with 200 metres to go, is challenged by Caldwell. Jessica Hull has been patient here. She moves into second place, and here comes Claudia Hollingsworth. Could we see a historic 1-2-3 for Australia? There's 100 metres left to run. Caldwell, the bronze medalist from Birmingham, is running away from her teammate, Abby Caldwell. Tactical perfection here. Jessica Hull looking up at the big screen, trying everything here in the last 50 metres. And Claudia Hollingsworth holds on. It's a 1-2-3 to close the Commonwealth Games Athletics and Para-Athletics programme. They got a 1-2-3 in the race walk this morning. We had a 1-2-3 in the men's steeplechase. But that from the Australian women, they've been saying it. Well, not these three. The Australian camp have been saying we're going to sweep the women's mile. And they've done it. Fantastic.
Well, one or two knowledgeable sages over the last couple of days with a nod and a wink have said to me they thought the Aussies could go 1, 2, 3 in this, and they delivered in spectacular style. And Abby Caldwell there, wow, her closing speed. I mean, all credit to Lucia Stafford. She gave it a wonderful go. Maybe she went a little bit too early. She started running out of gas around that final bend. But Caldwell, irresistible there to stay that far clear of Jess Hull, beating Hull by over half a second. Quite magnificent. Claudia Hollingsworth in third place. Stafford rewarded with fourth place. The best of the home nation athletes. Ava Lloyd in sixth place for Wales, with Calvert, the UK champion, down in seventh.
Both the men's and the women's mile were everything I love about endurance running. Make it slow, make it tactical, make every step count. And hats off to Stafford for getting it going. And Caldwell responded, measured that effort absolutely perfectly. And Jess Hull, I'm sure will be philosophical about this. A pair of silvers is a fantastic week for her. And Claudia Hollingsworth, I think had she tried to get involved in the battle for the lead, she wouldn't have got that bronze. And there were whisperings that Hollingsworth has had a few disruptions in the last couple of weeks. And I think that was actually a really mature run from her, just to recognise she had to run her own race and give herself the opportunity of finishing as high as possible. And she pulled it off. And look at the smile from Caldwell. It was probably a bigger smile when she picked up bronze in Birmingham 4 years ago. That was a shock. And this perhaps more of a relief for Caldwell.
Well, it's the first ever 1, 2, 3 for Australia in this discipline. They'll probably get more in years to come because these three are so strong, and this will inspire a generation of young Australians. But don't you just love this championship racing? It's the unpredictability of it. It's the cut and thrust and the push and shove and the surge and the slowing and the thinking on their feet that athletes don't really know or get to learn much about when they're on the commercial circuit, where everything is time trial. There are always wave lights to lead them out. There are pacemakers carefully taking out them out at exactly the right tempo to the 10th of a second. This is racing in the raw, and that's why it's special. That's why people love championships, not just because of the national colours and the medals, but because athletes have to be seen to be thinking on their feet, and there's not that predictability to it.
And they look so pleased with each other, for themselves, for the rest of the team here to pick up that 1, 2, 3. There was controversy at the Australian National Championships when Hollingsworth caused the fall. Well, potentially caused a fall. She was reinstated in the end. She was deemed to have not done anything worthy of a disqualification, but there was a clash between her and Jessica Hull. Hull fell over and finished last. Caldwell was impeded as well by the physicality of that race, and I think that will all be erased now, be a distant memory. A fantastic 1, 2, 3 for Australia, a clean sweep in the women's mile. Caldwell, 4:39.31, her winning time. Very, very slow, but a wonderful tactical display.
Well, while all that was going on, the pole vault continues. Owen Hurd, third and final attempt at 580 for him. He produced a really wonderful, characterful clearance at 5 meters 70, did Hurd. That equals his season's best, his lifetime best, only 1 centimetre better. This is third and final attempt at 580. No, his first two attempts were solid. I think actually his best attempt was his first. He was probably the freshest with that effort, but he has guaranteed himself now. He has gained the bronze medal. It was always going to be between these three. The rest of the Commonwealth way, way behind them. And that is quite superb. It's the biggest height ever for the bronze medal. 5 meters 70 at the Commonwealth Games. Forget Mondo Duplantis and his 6:31 from Uppsala back in the middle of March. This is Commonwealth pole vaulting, and England have the bronze, and Radomir here going for his third attempt at 580 as well.
Radomir was kind of on the back foot through the opening heights here, with Owen Hurd's clean scorecard putting pressure on him. The second clearance at 570 has given him the silver medal position at the moment. And this is last attempt at 580, and I think that's a tired guy who knows he's got a silver medal. And potentially knows, even if he jumps 580, Curtis Marshall's got it in his locker to go higher. And that makes Curtis Marshall the 3-time winner of this title, the most successful man ever in the Commonwealth Games pole vault. We've seen three three-peats here in Glasgow. Lyndon Victor did it first in the decathlon, and then Jemima Montag this morning in the race walk for Australia, and now Curtis Marshall has managed it as well.
Well, what a nice evening it's been for the Aussies, goodness me. Nice being the understatement of the week, perhaps. What am I saying? It's been an astonishing evening and an astonishing week. And actually this last half hour or so with that 1, 2, 3 in the women's 1500 metres, or the women's mile, I should say. I think it'll revert to the mile next to the 1500 next time round. I'm not sure if this was a one-off, the mile at the Commonwealth Games. I'd love it to stay the mile, I think, at the Commonwealth Games. It's a nice tradition, the old mile that the English introduced to the world, but everybody's adopted it now, even countries where most people haven't got the foggiest idea what a mile is. Did you know there's such a thing as a Norwegian mile?
Just 4 laps or
and
something?
it's, no.
Or you're not allowed your
it's
lactic above something?
It's 10 kilometres.
Oh.
I know, weird, isn't it? Well, this, he's had one attempt, but apparently the bar was wrongly positioned, so they cancelled that, and this is counting as his first attempt at 5.85, Curtis Marshall. He's equalled the game's record with his first-time clearance at 5.80. He still hasn't recorded, therefore, a failure yet. He's cleared 4 heights first time. This would give him the game's record all to himself. Oh, it was so close. Well, the Commonwealth Games record he shares with Steve Hooker now at 5.80. Hooker winning that in Melbourne back in 2006. Of course, Hooker became an Olympic champion in his career. He suffered more than his fair share of injuries too, Hooker. But Melbourne 2006, what a games that one was. And he's got it in him, and I tell you what, I'd put money on him getting it at one of these next 2 efforts.
Well, he gestured over to his coaching team. One more. You know, this is a guy who wants to go all the way through to the Ultimate Championships in Budapest and finish as highly as possible there. The Diamond League circuit gets back underway in a few weeks. It's a cold evening here. He's done enough to win, and he's just saying, go on, give me one more try at 4.85, and then maybe I'll turn my attention back to the rest of 2026.
Well, he's a prolific competitor, is Curtis Marshall. Now, look, there you see the Australian's left foot touching that white line. Oh, what a shame. Disqualification there. You don't get penalised 1 metre back or anything like that, or have a half a second added to your time. You're out. It's an unforgiving rule, but it's the right rule.
It is, and that leaves the medalists as Jamaica, England and Nigeria. They were the medalists across the line, and Australia, unfortunately, down at the bottom. And Zambia, they only made it about 120 metres in before, unfortunately, their lead male runner, he just pulled up.
18:10 and 4:30.
Marshall, by the way, a prolific competitor. Just
good.
counting his competitions this year.
60 looks safe as that. 60.
This is his 20th competition this year, and they've got to travel with those poles. I mean, some athletes, all they have to do is remember their spikes and they forget them, they leave them at home. And these guys have it's not as bad as the decathletes, but they have a lot of stuff to remember and take with them. Marshall there discussing things. He's got all the time he wants here now that he's on his own. There is no timing clock within reason to make him rush any attempts here. But he's getting a good talking to there. What to improve, what to change. Have a look at the replays. What do you reckon, Hannah?
I mean, we know he's capable of it. He's done it so many times on the circuit. And what's he saying here? Is he just asking for a change in the uprights as well? Let's see. I do think he is going to take one more try. Didn't look like he was saying, I'm going to stop there. But there's Owen Hurd of England celebrating his bronze medal. Rademeier his silver. So they've asked Curtis Marshall to wait here, not attempt this 6.85 bar for the second time until we've had the medal ceremony for the women's javelin.
Well, the medalists coming out for that women's javelin, and there are several more medal ceremonies to go yet. Guess who got a medal in this one? Yep, you guessed it, the Australians. Guess what colour it was? Yep, you guessed it. The gold, the best colour of all. John Ogola, Secretary General of the Kenyan Commonwealth Games Association, assisting with the presentations. And also Faye Shaw, Senior Executive of Glasgow 2026. What a job they've done, the organisers of these 23rd Commonwealth Games. The bronze medal going to Irene Jepkemoi. 57.85 for her in the second round. Her best effort. She's a 60-metre thrower, that from last year. Went down in qualifying of the World Championships last year. But has trained at the Complete Sports Training Camp in Kaptagat, benefited from that when a lot of the top marathon runners are based. Tori Morby of New Zealand takes the silver. Morby is a 60-metre throw, 3-metre thrower at her best. She threw 60.04 in round 3. It was her only 60-metre plus effort. But the champion, it was the Australian, of course, the season's best. What else? 61 metres 88 in the first round from Mackenzie Little, the silver medalist from 4 years ago. Is there an event in which the Aussies have failed to get a medal? Hardly any, I think. When she took the silver medal 4 years ago, it was her teammate Kelsey Lee Barber who took the gold ahead of her. Catherine Mitchell taking gold for Australia back in 2018. It's the 4th consecutive Aussie gold in the women's javelin. Just looking at some of the lists we've got here, that is the 6th gold for Australia in the javelin, women's javelin, in the last 9 editions of the Commonwealth Games. It's an event they clearly have a rich tradition in, and when you've got that coaching knowledge and that heritage and the enthusiasm, well, it feeds through to future generations, and you can bet, and in the next few editions of the Commonwealth Games, the Aussies will get medals in the women's javelin. Tori Morby of New Zealand, that's silver there, and Irene Jepkemoi, excuse me, the bronze for Kenya. Iana Davidson of Australia took the 4th, just for good measure.
Curtis Marshall still offering a bit of sporting entertainment alongside the medal ceremonies here. We finished with all the track action. And the men's pole vault was the first event to start 3 hours ago. It was quite a big field, and Curtis Marshall skipped the first 3 heights, had 1 clearance at 5:40 and passed at 5:50. And then first time clearances all the way up until this height, 5:85, to make him the outright games record holder. He's looking at his team here, he's watching the ribbons. They've got instead of a wind sock, it's a set of wind ribbons, and he's just saying they're not quite ready yet. And everyone stop clapping. Will he start again? The clock's on 4:45. He's got plenty of time here, Curtis Marshall. He's getting heckled by the Scots. He's already been asked to wait for that medal ceremony. I'm sure he enjoyed hearing Mackenzie Little being announced and his national anthem being played. But here goes Curtis Marshall, second attempt at 5 metres 85. Does it stay up? It does! Well done, Curtis Marshall. He's the outright Commonwealth Games record holder. Erases Steve Hooker from the books. I think he'll take pride but not satisfaction from erasing his hero, putting himself up there with a games record that could stand for quite a while. Steve Hooker's mark had stood for 20 years. A perfect day, really, for Curtis Marshall. Third consecutive Commonwealth Games title and a games record. There seemed to be indications a moment ago that he might just leave it there. He might call it a day at 5:85. We'll see whether he can persuade these guys that it's safe for the rest of the season to take another attempt.
I think I'll finish.
He's finishing.
Finish there,
Yeah.
I don't blame him. He's got to be tired. I mean, look at where he's been racing. I mean, competing. It is astonishing. And don't forget, all these Aussie athletes have got a Southern Hemisphere season behind them. You know, he competed in Sydney at the Australian Championships back in April. There wasn't much let up. He was on the Diamond League circuit by May, competed in June in Stockholm and Oslo and Aachen in Germany and in Paris Diamond League, and then in July he's competed in a small meeting in France, Monaco Diamond League, he competed in Budapest and then London a couple of weeks ago. It goes on and on for these fellas. Lucrative circuit, and it all brings you to this peak. And actually in technical events you need that more than in the running events, don't you? In middle and long distance running you have to pick and choose your events. In the technical events you're continually honing your technique.
It reinforces it the more you can compete. Within reason, you need a training block in there, and Curtis Marshall would do that now whilst the European Championships is on. There's not many other competition opportunities. And we've had a great week here with the event presentation team. It's been very slick, very well organised, and you might have heard the likes of Jeff Whiteman and Chris Temple in the background doing a fantastic job. And what I enjoyed just then was Chris Temple trying to get the crowd to clap, trying to goad Curtis Marshall into going higher. He kind of gave them a right look and said, clap all you want, guys, I'm done. The whole Australian team have turned out to watch today, and they've been treated to a great show across the board.
Do you think they'll be having an early night in the Aussie hotel tonight? What do you reckon?
No, I don't. No. They've got to get themselves back on Aussie time, you know.
Well, that's true. A lot of them will be heading back to Australia. Quite a few of them will be staying in Europe for the circuit when they go in a couple of weeks training while the Europeans are on and come out fresh as daisies for the post-European Championships, that last third of the season.
I think you take the opportunity if you're not involved in the Europeans to have a mini downtime. You know, even if it's just a day and a half or a couple of days doing nothing, regather, rebuild, and then get back for when the Diamond Leagues, the Continental Tour Silvers get going, and all the other meetings that will complete the rest of the year, and never mind that World Ultimates that will be available for so many of the medalists that you've seen on show this week.
Well, this is the presentation ceremony for the women's long jump competition. That final producing, well, not a gold for Australia. You can almost say that. Not a gold for Australia in this discipline, or Jamaica for that matter. But it did produce a medal for Australia all the same. And Bushkuhl from Australia has been a banker for them for many, many years. Brooke Bushkuhl, she ended up with that bronze, 6 meters 80 coming for her in the very first round. She couldn't build on it, tried hard, and actually in the final rounds, her 6 meter 80 opener, she almost matched it with 6.79. But it was nonetheless a position on the rostrum for her. Ruth Osoro of Nigeria might have thought maybe she had one hand on the gold. She opened with a massive 6.87. Couldn't match it though, nothing else came close in her remaining jumps, but it remained good enough for the silver medal. And look at that lovely smile from Osoro. Jasmine Sawyers, my word, what a roller coaster of a career she's had. Fourth in the last Commonwealth Games, couldn't get on the rostrum, won the European indoor title the following winter with 7 meters exactly, then damaged her Achilles, ruptured her Achilles in 2023. Was out of the sport for basically about 18 months while she got back to full fitness. The rehab and hard work to get back to being a world-class athlete when you damage a massive part of your structure is enormous. And yet she did that here tonight, producing 6.93 in the fourth round for gold for England. And she backed it up with 6.90 in round 5. Well, Jazz Sawyers with the 2 biggest leaps of the night, just to underline the authority she stamped on that competition eventually after a modest opening jump of 6:46, but then she really hit her straps and put together a wonderful series. Didn't bother to have a 6th and final round jump once the gold was secured. That's lovely for Jazz Sawyers, her first major outdoor gold. She's already got that indoor gold, that European indoor title. She's becoming quite a force. And I think because she spent time out of the sport, Hannah, you know, when you spend a year or more out injured, you can sort of bank that year and put it on the end of your career. You can add it on. She's 32 now. No reason to think she hasn't got several more years in her, Jazz Sawyers.
Well, and Danny and I were just discussing it whilst you were going through her injury history there on as we were getting ready to hear the national anthem. And Jazz could have walked away from the sport. She's got an incredible range of skills. You know, from that law degree, she's a great singer. She's great in the media. It's been brilliant stepping in commentary in the last couple of years. She didn't have to go back to long jumping, but she really, really wanted to. And I think that's always powerful as well. You're an athlete in the second half of your career or the last bit of it, choosing to compete. Men's pole vault, Curtis Marshall, new games record, 5 metres 85, a 3rd consecutive title. Kyle Rademeyer, the silver for South Africa, and Owen Hurd, the bronze for England.
Well, on that gold for Curtis Marshall, helping Australia to a total of 12 in the track and field athletics, 11 silvers, 11 bronzes, for a total of 34 medals. Jamaica close up behind them with 10 golds, 3 silvers and 5 bronzes. England in 3rd place with 6 golds, 9 silver and 6 bronzes, for a total of 21 over Jamaica's 18, but Jamaica with far more gold medals, far more titles. Well, here the medal ceremony for that men's mile. What a race it was. Did it live up to expectations? Yes, I think it did. I loved the unpredictability of it. Nobody was sure Josh Kerr's world record in the mile from 2 weeks ago today, 3:42, would translate into a great run in this final here. That such was the array of talent gathered against him. John Swinney, First Minister of Scotland, making the presentations. I bet he picked this one, Josh Kerr, the golden boy of Scottish sport at the moment. And Katie Sadler assisting with the presentations. With Timothy Cheruiyot, boy, this guy's been around a long time. World champion back in 2019, a prolific racer, prolific producer of very fast times, but tonight, in a tactical race, he used all the nous that he's learnt over the years to, and great racing in many championships, remember, not just on the circuit where you see quick pace-made races. He used all of that to kick hard and set up a panic amongst many of those behind him, and hung on to take the bronze medal. 3:55 his time in the mile tonight for 3rd. Cam Myers. Well, this was fantastic from Cam Myers. He's still only 20. He was only 20 back in early June. He is such a talent. Many people pointing at this lad and saying world records are coming his way. He might be the prince. He might be the man in waiting. That silver medal for him and the Australians, perhaps as good as they might have expected, up against a man who is in irresistible form. He's in world record form. He's a majestic championship racer. Remember him beating Jakob Ingebrigtsen at the World Championships in 2023 in Budapest. Well, he's back to his best now, and what a return to the top this is after that injury in Tokyo last September, which was heartbreaking for him in the final, when he said he was in fantastic shape. He believed he could win at those World Championships last year, had to limp out of that final, got himself back in shape through the winter, and by March he was in such good shape he was predicting a world record in London 2 weeks ago, and he got it right to the second, to the minute, broke the world record for the mile with 3:42, and now he's Commonwealth champion as well. how appropriate that is one of the last tunes to be played out on this night to a world record holder from Scotland. Cam Myers will have an idea now of what he's got to do, how much speed work he's got to put in to match the speed, the power, the astonishing acceleration and stamina produced by Josh Kerr on that final sprint from 250 metres out to blow away athletes of the calibre of Kerr, of Myers and Chariot, and Jake Whiteman underlines the strength of Josh Kerr's running there. He has said, by the way, that he will not run the European Championships in a couple of weeks' time. That's regrettable, but that's his privilege to choose to race where he wants. I think the Ultimate Championships right at the end of the summer in September, where you're going to be, Hannah, is probably the next big goal for Josh Kerr. He's a man who can set goals and stick to those goals and has laser focus on the job that needs to be done.
I think that will be the next really, really big target for Josh Kerr. As he said at the World Indoors, his North Star, that's what he likes to choose, and know what he's working towards. And I think winning that Ultimates when he could be up against perhaps Cole Hocker, Yared Nuguse, so the athletes from elsewhere in the world that aren't here at the Commonwealth Games, and the ones that he won't go up against, perhaps Izzat Nardaz, who won in Tokyo when he picked up that injury, to put any doubt to rest in the athletics fraternity. I think he'll want to ensure he wins the Ultimate Championships. Once he's recovered from this effort here, I think he'll then make a decision whether that could include a few more Diamond Leagues or a few other races on the way to that. But we'll only see him between now and the Ultimates if he thinks it won't compromise that Ultimate Championships.
I suspect that if he does race between now and the Ultimates, it'll be a couple of 800s, maybe 1,000, perhaps even a 3,000, just to tweak things a bit. But yeah, you're right. You know, he chooses his races very, very sparingly. There's been some criticism of him not having enough of a presence here in the UK and doing enough UK racing. He's based out in the USA, in Albuquerque in New Mexico, where he lives and trains at altitude under not Justin Rinaldi.
Danny Mackey.
Danny Mackey, thank you.
No.
His coach, Justin Rinaldi, is one of the Australian coaches that looks after Peter Boll and others.
Yeah, between us, we nearly know everything.
It's like playing all the right notes but in the wrong order. We know the names, we just don't know who they coach.
Summed up our commentary in one sentence. But just, I don't know, what do you reckon about the World Road Running Championships for Josh Kerr? There's a mile there.
That would be brilliant. Let's listen to him.
Incredible facility, and Scotland is ready to continue to have this generation and generation of talent, and I owe all of this to Scotland, to the UK, and I appreciate all the support through this whole process.
And Josh, you brought that world record back to Scotland, now the Commonwealth Games gold. Coming here, you must feel like a home hero. What is it like to be Josh Kerr right now?
I'm a little exhausted, to be fair, but I appreciate everyone's support. I think, this is a whirlwind couple of weeks for me, and, to bring the mile back to the UK, I had to go out and prove that mile was mine tonight as well. And putting the Scotland vest on was such an honour, and, I appreciate all the support. It's been massive, and you guys did such an amazing job of helping me over that last 200, and I just wish I, enjoyed it for a bit more. But, for me, it was just everything I had today, so I appreciate it.
Well, the crowd, the support, everyone here is so happy that you came, you saw, you conquered. World record, Commonwealth champion, Josh Kerr.
Well, we couldn't hear as clearly as you could, perhaps, that interview from Josh Kerr. I couldn't hear it anyway. Hannah, you're younger than me. You're hearing okay?
Yes, he was being asked, what's it like being Josh Kerr? And his answer was pretty tiring. So he's just thanking the crowd here for the support and the whole experience he's had in the last couple of weeks. He is based over in Albuquerque in New Mexico in the States, and he does love to come home and compete, but that is his base, that's his home, that's where all his good training happens. And to say he's probably going to spend 3.5 weeks back in the UK, I think he's made the most of it.
Well, hasn't he just? Yeah, a world record, a Commonwealth title. I think he'd be perfectly entitled to go on a holiday right now if he wanted to. But I mean, moaning about a bit of fatigue, it's the sort of fatigue I wouldn't mind having. Danny, what about you?
Yeah, I think if I had that world record, the Commonwealth title behind me, I'd put up with some sore legs and a few aches and pains. I think at the way you see him perform, I'm not sure he actually feels pain. I think he's gone beyond that.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Imagine if you could bottle that. Nopain.com.
What he did here was amazing, though. I mean, you come in and then we know he can deal with pressure. I mean, to set your stall out and say you're going to break a world record on a certain day at a certain place, pretty much at a certain time when you know the race is going on, is pretty bold. But then you have to come here, and he knows he's got the weight of a nation on his shoulders, and that is a lot for an athlete to carry. I mean, yes, all the Scottish athletes feel that pressure here, but it was on him. You know, that they wanted him to win here.
And we got the fairy tale ending with that mile world record and then the gold here, but we can't forget the race itself. And there were so many moments in that race that jeopardised this moment here for Josh Kerr in the crowd. And I'm still confused as to why he let it go so slowly. And when it was that slow, why he sat in the middle of the pack, the most dangerous place to be in a group of jogging milers. I was so nervous that he was going to ruin it for himself by being in that position.
Do you think he might have just had a lot of confidence that he could blow them all away in the last 250 metres? I mean, might his finishing speed have been the reason for that confidence? I mean, you were a quick finisher, Hannah. You must have gone into races thinking, I've got this lot.
But I think if I had the confidence of Josh Kerr, I would have sat further back or on the outside. I think it was a fair shout not to push the pace and to trust his kick, but to also kind of put the outcome in the track god's hands, if you like, in the middle of and like I say, particularly in the middle of a men's 1500 metre pack, when everyone thinks they've got the best kick, nobody wants to give each other an inch. I would have rather he'd sat at the back, and we've seen Jakob Ingebrigtsen do that at his very best as well, loiter at the back and swing round. Mo Farah used to do it in the 5,000 and the 10,000. But yeah, just I don't know, just trying to prove you can do it from the hardest position in the pack was perhaps unnecessary, but it doesn't matter. That won't be what goes down in the record books.
I think it's just confidence, isn't it? You have that confidence in yourself, and just in that pack, obviously it is dangerous in the middle of the pack, especially when the pace is slow. People do get twitchy, people do get nervous, and there's athletes in amongst that pack that might not always be right in the middle of it. But you know, as an athlete, Hannah, sometimes it's not arrogance, but you exude that confidence. You just know. But there was that moment with about 450 to go, and you called it. He tried to get out early, couldn't quite get out. Jake was trying to keep him from getting out, and then just as he got coming up to the belt, I watched. He put his arm out as if to say, "Right, I'm coming out now," and he just made his move. And when he did, you just saw that was it. That was his time.
I think that's a kind of only the current world record holder has the right to indicate mid-race, and everyone else has to get out of the way. That's got to be sort of a special little benefit you get if you're a world record holder.
It's great to see him spending the time as well, isn't it? I mean, he thanked the crowd, everyone that's still here and stayed to watch him get his medal. He thanked them for all the support they've given him, and it's so easy. He's going to have other things he's going to do now. He's going to have a bank of media waiting to interview him, and that are waiting desperately to interview him. And it's easier for an athlete. It's late here in Scotland. He knows he's got a long night ahead of him. It's easy for an athlete to do a few token gestures and then get out the stadium. But he's signing just about every autograph I can see him get anywhere near.
Well, he announced that Project 222. The number of seconds it would take to run a 3:42 mile back in late March, and he achieved it. I want to call it 222 fast myself, but it hasn't caught on. I've tried it. Nobody else understands it. Anyway, the medal ceremony for the mixed 4x400 metres now, and no prize for guessing who took this one. Let's just say they were yellow vests and they're from the Caribbean. Lucky devils. Still haven't been to the Caribbean. Live in hope. Perhaps they can spread my ashes there. Anyway, England, the team that couldn't quite take gold in this one, but finished ahead of Nigeria, the champions back in 2022. Nigerians taking the bronze medals. There they are in those green strips. They've had a good games, have Nigeria. Just looking at the medal table, which is topped by Australia and Jamaica. Nigeria in 5th place. They have gone well here, and there have been surprise medals here, like Jamaican gold in the men's 800 metres and one or two others that you wouldn't necessarily predict in what was a really strong event, that men's 800 metres. But Nigeria it is, who are the gold medalists in this mixed 4x400 metres relay. And Nathaniel in that quartet for them.
Patience Omar George. Samuel Agazi. And Ella Olajuwon.
Onjuevo
Bronze medals for competing in the heats. Esther
on the last leg for the Nigerian quartet ahead of Nathaniel George Agazi, taking over from them, and the Nigerians in third. Agazi there, just play acting. Second to right, he's a big fella, he's a youngster, he's the individual 400 metres champion. England, well, that was an astonishing final leg by Lena Nielsen. Down the home straight to hang on to, or to come past the Nigerians and to get that silver. Jeffries, Yummy Mary John, Toby Harries and Lena Nielsen in fourth on the fourth leg. Martin Rooney look-alike there.
Yummy Mary John.
Yummy Mary John, who has broached new ground this year. We covered her sub-50-second run, didn't we? That was her first ever time under 50, and it looked quite magnificent. She was so strong in the latter stages of that individual 400 a couple of months back.
Well, sixth individually here, Yemi Mary John as well, and she'll go to the European Championships next week. 2 weeks, what are we saying? 10 days or so.
Yeah. Begins on Monday week, doesn't it? In 9 days it begins.
Toby Harries very well on the third leg, and Lena Nielsen backed up her fourth place finish in the 400-metre hurdles with that great ankle leg, as you said, Tim, judged to perfection. I can't wait to see the splits, actually. I think for some of these athletes, and Lena Nielsen was impressive. Samuel Agazi did a big shift for the Nigerian team, but particularly the anchor leg for Dejane Oakley.
Yeah, Oakley, of course, the individual winner in the women's 400 metres. I mean, it was, what do you want? I want to say it's Femke Bol-esque.
No, it was, and it was absolutely outstanding what Dejane Oakley achieved on that final leg. And when we look back on the race as well, it was easy to see why the Jamaican team had struggled ever so slightly. Barnes and Anderson ran well in leg one and leg two, and then Kennedy got really caught up with some of the other runners on the track. It's just what happens when the athletes completing their leg just don't know which way to go, and Kennedy had to weave through the pack. But Dejane Oakley did a fantastic job, and they had to carry her off the track, her teammate. She was absolutely shattered, so I'm delighted she's made the medal ceremony. We have seen that in athletes before. They've just been so tired, they'll just be absent at this stage. They'll be unable to make a ceremony, but luckily all 12 athletes are here for the mixed 4x4 medal ceremony.
Well, some tears there from Oakley, the individual champion. 2 golds for her this week. How many athletes have taken double gold? Not many.
Rose Davis.
Rose Davis and double gold in the
5 and the
5
10.
and the 10.
That is it.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Wow.
Yeah, because Zoe Hobbs didn't go again in the 4x1.
Oh, you're probably right.
Emmanuel Eseme, they didn't field, Cameroon didn't field a men's 4x1. So
plenty of people have successfully defended a title.
3 times for Curtis Marshall, Jemima Montag, and for Lyndon Victor. We've had 2, 3 clean sweeps. 10 points to who can name the 3.
The
sweeps
Kenyans in the
first.
steeplechase. Obviously, the Australian women in that mile just this evening.
And for your final points.
What is this, a quiz?
Yeah, the women's walk.
There we go. Danny gets the points. We've just got a few more medal ceremonies here to go, and I think it's a good opportunity to reflect on what we think might be our performance of the championships. And Tim, I'll let you go first. I'll be kind.
What's that? What was the question?
What was your performance of the championships?
Say again.
Apologies to anyone listening. We're getting sound in our ear that prevents us hearing each other.
Yeah, every time our
He's not
producer
trying to
talks to
avoid
us,
the
it kills the
question.
mics of our companions.
Performance of the day, of the week, of the week.
Of the week. Oh well, it's got to be in the 100 meters, hasn't it, SME? With that 9.83 in the 100. I think, although you know, being a middle distance fan, long distance fan, I think the power and grace, the poetry in motion of Josh Kerr over that last 200 tonight was as magnificent as it can get. You know, you're not going to, without pacemakers and so on, setting something super fast against world standards close to the world record is not an option for the middle distance runners. So you have to judge them by different criteria. You could argue you're trying to compare apples and oranges.
No, I think that's fair enough. And Danny, you got anything you'll pick out from the last week?
I hate to go exactly as you'd expect from me, but I will go with the women's 800 metres. And more because Georgia Hunter-Bell, just the way she dominated that race. She knew she had Lilian O'Deara, the world champion, coming in on her shoulder, and she just, that little glance up at the screen, that presence of mind, just to see that opportunity and go, I'm going now, this is my chance.
No, I thought that was we've had some brilliant tactical running across all the endurance events. I think Rose Davis has perfectly judged 10,000 metres to haul in Wanza, the Kenyan that had gone kind of very fast in the penultimate kilometre. But I almost like the tactics from Rose Davis just as much in the 5K, that she had to do it in a totally different way to get her second gold and hold off a 1500 metre runner and her teammate. Jessica Hull, who was right behind her. So there's double gold for Rose Davis, double silver for Jessica Hull. Kai Robinson got a gold in the 10K and a silver in the 5K. Those are the athletes picking up multiple medals.
Great to see Josh Kerr down there still signing autographs, mixing with fans, the few who have stayed on. There's an English hat there, trying to push his way to the front. The Scots will push him to the back, I should think.
Next medal ceremony up here in Scotstoun Stadium, the women's 1 mile. There they all are. You're not seeing triple. It was a 1, 2, 3 for Australia. The bronze went to Claudia Hollingsworth. She's been such an exciting young talent in Australia for the last couple of years. She was best known as an 800 metre runner. She ran a fantastic, it was 8:34 or so for 3K in the domestic season in Australia. She's the only woman to have beaten Georgia Hunter-Bell this season. And when she came out of that domestic season, kind of into the professional ranks in the main meet of the season, Hollingsworth struggled a little bit to find her feet, and I think the run today from Hollingsworth for this bronze was absolutely perfect. It's going to be a pair of silver medals for Jessica Hull. The only thing she didn't have in her collection before this week in Glasgow was a Commonwealth Games medal. Her streak of medals really got going after Paris, where she picked up a great silver and really elevated herself, running at 3:50 over 1500 metres. She got on the podium last year in Tokyo as well, and in the indoor season, and now here at the Commonwealth Games. But it was gold for Abby Caldwell, bronze in Birmingham 4 years ago. And then this season, Caldwell has been on the charge. Personal best by a couple of seconds in the very first Diamond League in Shanghai, and then a surprise win in Xiamen with a well-timed sprint finish. She's been good the rest of the season as well, but the way she lifted into that last 120, came off the bend and powered away from Jessica Hull. It's the best race of her season and probably the best race of her career. Look at those three. I think the problem for Jessica Hull here is she's kind of inspired the middle distance community in Australia, shown them what's possible, and now she's having to deal with it in the field of play. But a 1, 2, 3, Abby Caldwell, Jessica Hull and Claudia Hollingsworth. They'll be on the front page of the papers at home, I'm sure. As we wait for our next medal ceremony, we're delighted to have Rhona McLeod up here with us. Rhona's been doing the Mix Zone interviews. So for anyone that's picked up any of the interviews on the Games channel, they've been conducted by Rhona, a former long jumper herself and very much a part of athletics in Scotland. And Rhona, I think here's one part here about the Games being picked up by Scotland in the last few years coming into the event. And you must be so excited to know that this Games was coming.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many news stories about would Scotland take the Games, would they not? It's such a short window to turn these Games around. I think that most cities or countries have 7 years to do it, and I think that Glasgow did it in about a year and a half. So it's been a lot of pressure. It's obviously a scaled down Games. We've called them the leaner, fitter Games. But actually, the worldwide response, because we've been looking at the media cuttings, it's been so positive. And the thing that I always think about it, because I'm really heavily involved with amateur athletics in Scotland and the rest of the UK, the athletes just want this competition so badly. This is such an opportunity, especially for the nations. If you're from Wales, if you're from Scotland, if you're from Northern Ireland, and also Guernsey and Jersey and all these places, it means that you don't have to be good enough to get into the Great Britain team. It means that you can get that stepping stone, and that stepping stone has been so valuable. And if you look at the men's decathlon, young Callum Newby from Scotland, who had never represented Scotland before, and then he came into this and he was the outright winner of the 400 metres and he was the outright winner of the pole vault. And Tim Hutchings is making faces at me, but that is just a moment of inspiration, isn't it? That's just getting the crowd behind you and enjoying your big moment. And without the Commonwealth Games platform, how many athletes will never get that stepping stone, will never get that moment of confidence?
And that's so true. That rings true for a lot of the smaller nations that we have represented here as well. They get a taste of what it's like to perform on the international stage. You know, they would have rubbed shoulders with some of these medalists in a dining hall, on a bus, and seen them in the warm-up area, see how they conduct themselves there. And that's going to elevate their performances as well. And so what's your interview count down in the Mix Zone? Because it always blows me away. Every championships we do down there, you speak to a tremendous number of athletes.
I think over the 6 days, it's about 220 interviews that I've done.
And have you got a favourite?
I've got favourite people that...
Well, you're allowed to have a favourite interview. You've got to be impartial here, Rhona.
So the way that I can best describe this, I think that Mix Zone interviews is a bit like speed dating, and I've never actually done speed dating, but I would imagine that this is what it's like, that you have a very small window of opportunity to make a good impression with someone and to try and build some charisma. So there are some people who come in and you just connect straight away and you ask a good question and they really like that and they give you a good answer, and so it just flows. There's a bit of charisma there. And
Tim, for anyone listening, Tim Hutchings is doing his very best to put Rhona off. Well, Rhona, we're going to give you a moment to commit to what we'll give you a top 3 for your favourite interviews, but we are going to take in the men's pole vault ceremony before that, as it was a brilliant third consecutive title for Curtis Marshall. He's had a brilliant last 3 years. I mentioned that shared bronze medal in Budapest. He was delighted with that at the World Championships in 2023. Perhaps a tiny dip in form at the Olympic Games. He was in 6th there. I think he would have loved to have been on an Olympic podium. Last summer in Tokyo, he picked up the bronze behind Mondo Duplantis and Emmanuel Carolis. And today, he's got his 3rd consecutive gold. Wonderful bronze for Owen Hurd in the men's pole vault. He did so well, accumulating very few failures all the way up to 470. And that was kind of where he hit his limit. He did clear at 470 and then at 480. I think the fatigue had just set in. But that bronze medal for Owen Hurd makes it 6 consecutive Commonwealth Games where an Englishman has picked up a medal in the pole vault, and it matches the achievement of his coach, Kate Dennison, now Kate Rooney, who took bronze in Delhi in 2010. And a brilliant silver here for South Africa with Ruydemeyer. He looked perhaps like Owen Hurd was going to get the better of him, and just as that bar went up to 470, up to 480, it was the South African that elevated his level. Fewer failures at those higher heights gave Ruydemeyer the silver medal. But there he is, 3 consecutive titles. He's knocked it out the park. He's the most successful pole vault man ever at the Commonwealth Games. He was inspired to take up this event by Steve Hooker. Watched him compete at the Beijing Olympics. And to pay tribute to the great Steve Hooker, Curtis Marshall decided to erase him from the record books. It was a Games record for Marshall here tonight, 5 metres 85.